All right, guys, welcome to the GoHard podcast. I'm here with my guest, Brendan Cosso.
What's up?
What's up? What's up? And this is actually our first episode of the GoHard podcast that is hitting on our Fell to Fortune. So any of the viewers here, a lot of you guys know my background was a two-time ex-felon and took a lot from that experience and turned it around. And a lot of you guys had a lot of questions about that. And so I decided to be able to try to seek out other people that had a similar background, that were able to take something that was a negative to most of us and spin it into something positive. And this is going to be the first episode of doing it. And I think we're doing it in grand style because your story is pretty dope. So
yeah. Thank you.
It's pretty sick. So I think you're going to be the best to explain it. I've got like this entire rundown of how crazy his story is.
That's the work the assistant does.
Right.
And that's the work Larry does.
Right. Here's my notes on it. Okay. So, but dude, the story is crazy. When she had told me about it, I was kind of like, is this even real? And last night I was on YouTube watching
your story. Nat Geo one?
Yeah.
Did you watch that one?
Yeah. So, what episode was that?
It was, Locked Up Abroad Brazil. I think it was season 4 or 5.
Okay, like episode
6,
2 or
some
okay,
shit
yeah.
like that. I can't remember.
Okay, but it was pretty crazy, and the rest of the notes and stuff, it's pretty wild. So why don't you walk us through kind of a brief of what that situation was?
I mean, on the short story of it was, junior college, going to school, getting out of high school, promoting clubs, the Hollywood scene, right?
Okay.
Where it was like, that was the beginning of the like East Coast, West Coast. Hip hop was really growing. Dre had just met Snoop. And it was like, this was way back in the days. Like, I mean, talking like 90 to 93. When I got arrested, it was 93.
So the club scene was a fun place to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was like the Century Club. You remember the movie Roxbury?
Yeah.
I remember when all the Saturday Night Live cast was there and actually came up with the concept.
Really?
That's how fucking long ago this was, right?
Okay.
I mean, Baywatch days.
I mean,
bro.
you're dating yourself, but either way, well, it's out there
right,
now. We can take it back.
So, club promoter, and just got involved in always had kind of like the very, I would say, upper middle class, father and attorney, divorced house though, right? So like the divorce was as you sit back in jail and you like got all time to really fucking think about life.
Yeah.
Thinking of reasons in this. So it's, divorced family, well-to-do, father's a lawyer, da-da-da-da. I just like, the youngest kid was my older brother, then it was me. And I just like crazy shit, right? I defied authority. It was one of those things where it just didn't mix with me.
Yep.
I liked hurting people though, in the way of like football. I really love football because man, you could
feel
just
that. Yeah.
smack the shit out of people, not get in trouble, but then you get in trouble for not hitting them hard enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was like, that was kind of the authority I would deal with was like the coaching authority.
Right.
But teachers and...
I was going to say, what about school? So how did you like school?
School was okay. I did not like it. I didn't dislike it. But if there was an opportunity to go drink peach schnapps at the movie theater on Friday right before lunch... I was rolling with that crew.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you on that.
To go see a movie and be like, all right, let's ditch 2 classes, go back and, do homemaking while we're hammered. And then, it was just, I was always good at tests. Studying, I didn't really like studying, but if I could just sit and absorb something, boom, it was on. But I like the wildlife better. It just interested me more, being just out doing what I wanted. And then, one thing leads to another. And you start doing stupider stuff, and next thing you know, you're the crazy one that everybody's calling like, "Yo, bro, let's go handle this business." And it's like, "Yo, okay,
right."
I got
a lot of okays.
A lot of okays.
Not very many times that you had to weigh things out with a no.
No, it was really, if there's money involved, I'm getting that money.
Right.
Plain and simple. There was no ego, and cash was king. And then it just turned into like, "Yo, we got a big opportunity." I met this guy and. Let's go to Brazil and let's do this. And
so the guy that you went with, was it a group of friends or was someone you met?
So I took 3 of my buddies.
You to go there?
Yeah. So we had met a guy, obviously, so people know, and this is just the real shit. I've been on Nat Geo and told the story, but there's a lot of shit that I still can't say.
Right.
Pardon me. That's the real part of the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
The nightclub happened, but that was a little bit after the original meetings happened because these people I kind of knew prior, right? but I can't say who they were, what their nationality was, what anything. True stories, and anybody that really goes out and does something like this and tells a real story, you're going to get fucking shot.
Right. Probably just leave that vague.
20 years later, even, I still have the thought of like, bro, I'm not giving up people. Like, the story that you hear is a TV story.
Right.
Even the story that I tell now is almost true.
Right.
I'm not telling the whole fucking truth.
Right. You're a wise man.
Because I still got family.
Right.
You know what I mean? 20 years later, fools don't forget things if all of a sudden pops out.
You got nothing to win at this point, only things to lose by giving it.
And you know, I ultimately was the dumbass that did it, that did the okay. So went to Brazil and got popped. Like,
so the way,
like 12 kilos of cocaine.
Okay, so a solid amount. All right, more than one person's going to need for an afternoon.
Right.
All right, so the way that it was is you would go out there with a group of friends. You guys end up at the club. Whatever the whole backstory is, you guys end up with the stuff, and you guys end up hitting the airport. Mm-hmm. And they had these things mapped out. They probably, they saw you guys probably from a mile away.
I'd done it before, right?
Okay.
So this wasn't really the first time. I didn't get popped on my first time.
Okay.
I've done it before.
Okay.
Which, when you're getting paid that kind of money, we'd get home and my buddies would pick me up and we'd go drop 10, 15 grand on Melrose.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got a bunch of fucking cash. Let's go shopping.
Right.
Because we would
be
able
making
to
50, 60 grand or more a piece.
Yeah, because those 12 kilos turned into 36.
Right.
Once they got to Hungary. Because we're getting pure shit for 5 grand a key.
Right.
It's worth 70 over there per key. And each one of those keys turns into 3 once cut.
Right. So it's multiplication. For all of you kids that didn't do math, that equals a lot of money that a young man shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So
I can't even think about, because it was literally, like say, we'd come home and I would be like, I'd buy, we'd go drop it off in Hungary. Then we'd take the train and do some shit, go up to Amsterdam to go sit in the cafe and smoke some weed and walk around, Amsterdam. But you could buy diamonds and you could buy little gold bullion. So I'd take, 2-3 grand. Buy a little piece of gold, an ounce, pocket, take it home, save it. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, once I got arrested, everybody that, knew where I lived or that was part of the roommates, all my shit got stolen.
Of course.
And, he's gone forever, dude. Let's take all the shit.
All of the friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Those friends. But, at that point in time, I was like, take all the negative anyway. I don't give a fuck. Right.
Well, the situation you ended up in, a little bit of gold bullion was probably the least of your worries.
The least of the worries. So it's, went and was making some money. Would come back and still hustle, do the life of the nightclubs, and then there was the final time where we went, and I think it had gotten that we were going so often, and plus there was an opportunity that I truly think that the dudes that I was connected with ended up, like telling the federal police, yo,
to get their kickback to then
be able for them to drop 100 keys.
Because they're probably getting smashed by not catching you guys every time. So they're like, look, this is going to make you guys look good.
We'll give up these kids.
Right.
We're only fucking 23.
Yep.
Going on 23 at the time, right? And give up these kids. You guys snatch 4 fucking Americans, right? That's going to be front page news.
Yep.
And then we'll toss a couple 100 kilos behind that. So it was a bigger process, I think.
And did they make you an example? Was that one of those things where they really made it like, look what we did, here's an example of these
fuck yes.
Which is always the way it goes south. In my situation, it was the same way. And if you're ever made an example, it's like, just know this is going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, and we weren't made the example of, here's it was countrywide. It was on Jornal Nacional, Globo, all the big stations, 4 Americans caught with $2 million worth of cocaine type front page news.
That never ends well.
No. 6 months later, when we got transferred from one place to another, like they did another story, American drug traffickers transferred here. Like, wow. So it wasn't
so they were holding on to it. This was going to be something that...
This was something that was precedent sending in Brazil. Because it was only, one person would get caught here or there. You never have 4 young... Americans.
And it makes them look good. They ended up doing their job. We got these kids. We're stopping this problem, and you can't come here and do this. So, of course, when you become a publicity stunt, then it ends up being an issue.
And you can't get out, right? So there's really no alternative if you're going to go the corrupt way and leave or break out, whatever, or escape. You're always going to have Interpol around you. for
Right.
the rest of your life. You can't travel to any country.
Right.
Nowhere. So I'd be stuck and confined in America, right? But then, if you don't go the corrupt way, you potentially could spend a lot of time in jail.
Right. So they end up they transferred you. You guys ended up. Then you guys got sentenced. And what was your original sentence?
They want to give us 25 years.
Okay, so that was the. So you were thinking. I remember when my first one was like 9 years is what they proposed or whatever. And I remember walking out of the courthouse. I'll never forget the moment. Like I could tell you exactly what everyone was wearing. It was the most vivid experience of like, I'm about to lose the best years of my life. And this is the amount you think of 9 years, especially at 23. I was like 20, and you're thinking that's half of my life that I know of it. Like, so for you at that time, what were you thinking? Was it like just don't think about it, or was it like really one of those things that hit you hard?
It didn't. It was like, okay, what's going to happen at first, right? Because first we get there, we spend a couple days in an elevator. They didn't have jail cells, so we had to be in between 2 floors for a couple days in an elevator, which was super fucking interesting. So strapped with 12 kilos of cocaine.
And they just kept you stored in an elevator?
Yeah.
Okay.
So federal building, elevator, they would open it up, lift us up, give us water, and then drop us back down. And we still had all the drugs on us.
That is crazy. Like they just were like, we don't care about those drugs.
Yeah,
Anyways,
no,
we got you.
One of the kids, won't mention his name, that was with us. I had actually taken him to go to get him out of, because he used a lot of meth. He was fucked up, and I've known this kid for a long time. So I was like, listen, get him some extra money, get away from this shit. Yeah, it's cocaine, but meth heads don't use cocaine, right?
You're probably safe.
Yeah, so you're safe, right? So we're in this elevator, and literally he's taking lines after being arrested in the just sticking his hand in and snorting this shit. And we're in an elevator. It's the most surreal shit you've ever. It's a movie, right? So we're just going, what the fuck? Then they transfer us to a police station that was like it's a basement of a federal police station. There was like 6.5 foot ceilings, 130 people, about the size of like these 3 rooms. Fucked up. So they transferred us there. We stayed there for 4 or 5 months, then got transferred. It was just prison transfer from prison transfer. Every time we'd go somewhere, it would be on the news. There's no way out of it. Like you can't escape because everybody knows where you are. If you try to get out, you have to get your way to like Paraguay, which is you've got to get on a bus or you got to walk so you can get to Paraguay and get the fuck out. Can't go to the airport. It's like judge can't actually. The first judge, and that's where the first judge wanted to give us 25 years, and this is where the corrupt part is good, right? We had a really good lawyer. He ended up being friends with the judge that wanted to sentence us, had one of his students, literally 24 years old, beautiful Brazilian girl, just literally a year out of law school, and was already a judge. Had her come in, do our case, and sentence us, because this dude wanted 25 years because he wanted an example.
Right.
So, 75 of the 150 my dad originally gave in cash, 75 went to the judge to take a vacation on sentencing time for his attorney to come in, his student that became a judge to come in and give us our sentence, which was 4 years, 6 months.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, that's a major reduction. I mean, still me, maybe I'm a pussy, but 4.5 years.
Oh, it still fucking sucks.
I'm still shitting bricks at 4.5 years in a Brazilian prison. I mean, I don't know. I'm not leaving with a lot of happiness. Of course, I'm happier than the 25.
I was still pissed.
Right.
Don't get shit twisted. Like 4.5, way better than 25 for sure. But 4.5 years was still, what the fuck what do you mean? This is Brazil.
Right.
We just paid a lot of fucking money. Get us out. And they're literally like looked at us and said, like, listen, stupid. You're on every newspaper. There's no way out of this. Accept your 4 years. Shut the fuck up. Work.
Right.
You'll get out early. Only 2 things I could tell you. Don't get in a lot of trouble and work. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, too, you guys, even with your dad, being in law and everything else, you guys probably realize at that point, when it's at that level, they can't let it go. No. You can't pay them enough money because it's only going to cause them more problems. There's always going to be checks and balances at some point.
You've got the America there now. When the consulate first came and saw us, we were like, hell yes, get us out of here. And even our own government, it was a kick in the fucking balls. Your government looks you in the face and goes, We got, hey, fuck, they just hit us with these sticks. There was this and that, and abuse, torture.
Right.
Get us out of here. And they literally looked at us and said, "The fuck you want us to do?"
Yeah.
Like, stupid. You're the drug trafficker. We can't do shit. All our advice to you is, don't get in trouble or die.
I was going to say, don't die that's the advice they give you. Yeah.
Pretty much. Like,
you're probably not
going
to get an abuse. There's not going to be any sympathy for that.
They looked at us and were like, "Sorry, kids. Dummy. You've got every newspaper. We're in Europe. You're on fucking headlines in Europe because your plane was going to Hungary." And so it became like this big, there's no out, right?
Okay, so at that point, you're like, look, this is it. Best case scenario.
4.5 years.
Suck it up. Here we go.
Yep.
And you guys roll in. So they bust you guys in is how they do it?
They take us, you go into this place, once they figure out your last jail where you're going to be. We ended up being, I can't say it was a cool spot, but it was a lot better than a lot of places. It was a complex right across. It was a big complex called Carandiru, which there was a movie. If you look at Carandiru, there's that big movie about the slaughter in the Brazilian prison. That was literally where we were.
Okay.
Cops came in and whacked out.
It doesn't sound cool when you said it that way. But either way, we'll say it's cool. Right? Other than the slaughtering, it was cool.
Other than murdering hundreds of prisoners and stuff. But we ended up going to this place.
The food was good. So okay. So
chicken feet and shit. And right. I don't want to go in there. So we get to the Casa Grande, which is the big house, the penitentiary that we're going to be at for the rest of our sentence. And that's where we spent the last 3 years. I spent the last 3 years and 2 months of my sentence there. The first 6 months was back and forth through a bunch of different shitholes, and then we stayed the rest of our time there.
And so when you're there I'm sure that jail, prison is comparable in some ways, but I would imagine that in Brazil, even though jail here isn't cool, I would imagine it's not it's shittier there. So when you first walk in, what you come in and what's their processing like when they run you through?
You mean if you don't get tortured when you check in?
Right. So so
we're drug traffickers at least, so we have a respect level right off the bat, right? Because international drug traffickers, you're on the hierarchy of people there. So we check in, you get there, and it's that same old thing. You got the cops that are assholes that want to make the example of the gringos and be dickheads. Then you have guys that are kind of cool, like, "Hey, gringo,
right?
A lot of cocaine, huh?" And you're like, I don't even speak the fucking language.
Oh my God! So
it's Portuguese down there,
right.
Mind you. So we don't speak the language either. It took a year to learn the language.
So you ended up having,
I speak fluent Portuguese. I have.
Look at that.
It's
who needs Rosetta Stone?
Great
when you've got
benefits. Prison? I will say I took a lot away from it. Right, learned a lot. Not just, in not making bad decisions, but from speaking languages to cultures to a bunch of shit. So we get there and it's like, same old process. Take your fucking clothes off, lift up your nutsack, bend over, cough, open your mouth, and that whole thing to see if you're carrying anything, blah, blah, blah. You check in, you spend 30 days confined. They lock you in a hole and pretty much. Tap on your door, bring you a plate with some rice and beans on it and a piece of bread with some butter, coffee, and you're done. And that happens twice a day until you're out. And then you get out and you're like, ooh, wow.
I wish I were locked back in that room by myself.
It's a little quad, but you got to deal with, the one, I will say the one good, if you fucking have anything good about prison, the one thing about being there that was very different was you don't have the race cards being played. Right?
Okay, because it's predominantly...
Me and you go to prison, bro. It's either you're going to the white supremacy side of it,
right,
and you got to be one of the white dudes,
right,
or you got to go to confinement, because if you don't roll with the white guys, then what are you going to do, right? So there was Brazilians are fucking Brazilians. Whether you're black, whether you look Mexican, whether you look Asian, whether you're a white dude, you're still a Brazilian. The segregation is this. You have thieves... petty criminals, people that steal small things, car thieves, da-da-da-da. Then you have the rapists and the dudes the cucarachas, the cockroaches of the world that hurt women, rape, or da-da-da-da, with things with children. Then you have the justiceiros, which are the guys that are hired to go kill people.
Okay.
Right.
They probably have a little bit of rep.
So now we're gaining the clout. And then you have the dudes that are just mass murderers. Then you have the cops that kill people that are hired to kill people. So it's... there's a whole... I was in jail with the dude that killed over 1,000 people.
Okay, so he probably got a lot of extra bread.
He pushed motherfuckers out of airplanes during the military era.
Okay,
in Brazil.
So people probably gave up their mattress to him and stuff. He had some clout,
right?
So yeah, I mean, obviously the difference from, like you said, from here was you walk in and they're like, hey, you're going to be a wood, you're going to be this, and they break you up into those kind of things. And I think that's where a lot of extra issues come from. But I would also have a feeling that there's other downsides to a Brazilian prison that you don't have here.
Like toilets that actually don't have giant rats that climb out of them at night.
There we go. Okay.
Holes in the ground to go to the bathroom. No, like the running water is, because they don't, it's fucking crazy. It's all gravity driven.
So it's like a hose that just falls out.
It's a big ass tank, literally, that fills up with water, and you turn no shower heads or nothing. It's just a tube comes out of the thing. We had to use you get like a water bottle.
Yeah.
And you'd stick it over the tube and poke holes in the bottom to like make a shower head type of thing.
That is crazy.
And if there was no water.
You didn't get a shower?
Oh, no. There'd be times where like 3-4 days where there just would be no water, and we'd have a bucket of water that we'd save to use to, drain, put your shit and piss down the toilet, and to just cup yourself off just to wash a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
okay. So there's a few other downsides to that.
A lot of downsides, disgusting. You got to worry about a lot of disease and all kinds of crazy shit like that. The food absolutely sucked, but the positive sides, you could have people come in every week, and you couldn't buy commissary like you do here, but people could bring stuff to you on the weekend or once a week. You could bring in grocery stuff like, a little bit of grapes or some chocolate or just things to kind of get you by.
Okay.
Which was cool, but yeah, I mean, I would have loved to be here only because it's like a modern jail.
Right.
These weren't modern jails. I mean,
right. Yeah, that's what I picture is
it's pretty disgusting.
Like a rundown, the block walls ready to fall apart. And
like this, you scrape it and like just the paint and shit comes off.
Yeah.
And it's just powder.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was obviously pretty rough in that sense. So the experience when you went through, you end up getting out. How was that process? By the time you got out?
I mean, it took me a good 3 or 4 months of processing, like, holy shit, I'm getting out in a few months. Because it was some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, I had been out of the prison. The guys that I went to jail with never left the prison, aside from when we go to court or something like that. I left the prison 3 times, twice to go to the hospital because of my back, which one of them's a funny-ass fucking story. So I literally got to go outside and kind of see something. I went and stopped in another prison before the jail, spent like 12 hours on handcuffed to like a steel, gurney in a hallway.
That was a fun vacation. You got out. That
literally like, oh, we're going to take you to the hospital. Okay, so I went to the worst part where all the people were actually murdered. It was Cosso Detenção, which is the detention center, to the hospital there that would take care of, the prisoners. And mind you, there's fucking dried blood on these like stainless steel gurneys. Probably haven't been cleaned for 30 years, and I'm handcuffed to this fucking thing.
By that point, you're probably used to it anyway.
Oh, yeah, and I'm just sitting there going, I have my back because we're playing basketball. My sciatica was fucking pain, and I couldn't get up. So now I'm laying on this bed, this blood, and I'm trying not to touch it, and I'm looking over, and this dude's literally dying next to me. Is just sat up against a wall, and you just like see him, and then literally I just watch the dude slowly die. Like,
really?
In 11 hours, watch him go from alive and fucked up to just fell over.
And probably nobody helped him the entire time?
Yeah, stayed there, and then they picked him up, put him on a thing, and fucking wheeled him off. So the story was this was 8 or 9 months after I got arrested. Before I got arrested, my stupid-ass girl I was dating at the time convinced me to get a belly button ring.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I have this
We're going to just leave that there.
So let's just fucking leave that where it is. So I have this belly button ring in, and I can't get this fucking thing out. And I don't know how, because you have to have that little tool thing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to hide this shit because I don't even know why I have a belly button ring as a fucking dude, right? Things you do for your girl,
right.
Like, oh, get it too. I'll get it. It's like, yeah, fuck, okay.
Right.
So I'm trying to hide this thing in prison, right? And then they take me to the hospital, and then we're going to x-ray your back and make sure that everything's okay. So they lay me over, and I'm on my stomach and then on my side, and they're x-raying, and 4 or 5 hours later, the fucking people just all fucked up next to me, just bleeding. Like the emergency ward there is like, unless your like carotid artery is sliced and you're squirting blood,
they just lay you in a hallway.
Just sit there for a little while, and if your leg's broken and exposed fracture, whatever, just deal with it. So I'm sitting there looking at all this shit, and the doctor comes back and goes, we have to immediately take you to surgery. And mind you, I'm 8 months in and understanding a little Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck you mean surgery? Like, no. No, yes, we have to go now. It looks like, were you ever stabbed? And I'm like, I mean, I got stabbed like when I was like 14, just a little cut. But no, like I've never been, well, there's a piece of something is lodged in your spine. And we want to go in and look at it and see if we can get it out. And I'm looking over and I'm like, can I see the x-rays? And this is, trust me, I've only seen like my broken arm x-rays
right.
the doctor shows you. He puts these fucking things up on the little thing and I look and I'm like, Doc, I lifted up my shirt and I showed him it's a belly button ring.
This dude was going to cut you open because
Bro.
the x-ray showed it from the other side? Oh my gosh.
So it looks like I have something lodged right into my spine, this dark thing. And they were like, oh, wow. Like, you saved yourself on that one. Because we were about to drug your ass and just take you in and start surgery. So then they came in, they fucking cut it off and stuff. But it was like,
dude, that would have been great. You come back like, okay, well, now I'm paralyzed on top of it.
Right? You surgery for best. So you're starting to look at like, wow, do these people really want to help you in the hospital if you're a criminal type of thing? Or are they really studying? So, that story is like one that I'll tell for fucking ever.
Oh, that's amazing. Like, and they just skimmed by that real quick. Either they don't really care or maybe that's just how that happens in that hospital. But
I'm a criminal.
Right.
And end of story.
Right. We'll cut that open, and if there's metal in there, great. If not,
and it
was a belly button ring, we'll all laugh about it.
If we discover after the fact that it was a belly button ring and we paralyzed, fuck it, you're a criminal.
That'll be an entertaining story over the doctor's dinner table. So,
so that, and I do prefer. I would say I'm glad that it happened there and not here, because I don't have a record here. I'm on Interpol, but I don't actually have a felony here, which was huge.
Right.
It was one of the big things that, my father being an attorney, I was like, fuck, dude. Like, I think that was one of the biggest things to my entrepreneurship is not worrying about, I think I went into it like, fuck, who's going to hire me?
Right.
Like, I got to say that I'm an international drug trafficker. In America, you know what that does. Pretty much anywhere around the world. You're an ex-felon, you're fucked.
Right. That was the question that I was going to have. I mean, I have 2 points. The first one that I think is pretty interesting is even just you talking about the money early on is a big thing that I always say is, I'll get parents that'll hit me up and say, hey, I want to be able to do all these things so I can get my kid this BMW and do all these things. And I always tell them that I think that one of the greatest gifts that I had was not getting handed anything. Mm-hmm. And I think that sometimes it can really drive you into trouble when you are handed something. Mm-hmm. And it seems like in your situation, that ended up kind of being the issue, like you said, is because it was so easy. You'd already done it several times.
Right.
When you get $60,000 for doing almost nothing, it really throws you out of perspective of like, I'm going to go do that, which is going to take me 5 years and be really, really hard. Or I'm going to go do that and it's going to take me 20 minutes. I'm going to party with some models in Brazil and then I'm going to come back with $60,000. It just is
and 3 weeks later, you don't have 60 anymore.
And then you go back.
You have a lot of really cool fucking clothes and shoes, and everybody else does.
Right. And what's your mind going to do at that point? Go, oh, well, now I'm going to go work really hard, or maybe I'll do it one more time. And I think that's an amazing, I think that's a really important lesson for people to be able to take from that is like whether it's you trying to buy your kid the nicest car or you trying to go out to find that fast cash, is it just never leads to anything good. It leads to the next problem until it
never ends.
It
never
until
fucking
you can't
ends.
fix it anymore.
Right. And I think that's the trap that a lot of people get into. Because I mean, the one thing that it's such a weird story because I was raised in an upper middle class. My dad never gave a shit. Like, ride your bike.
Right.
For $2 a week, you're going to go ride your bike 3 miles with your brother. You're going to garden my office, pull all the weeds through the parking lot, and you're going to get paid $2. Right. $2.50. They bought us gum for the Sunday, right?
Which sounds like it built you a hustler's mentality until you reached that problem, because it seems like you were out doing this, doing that.
Until I reached the authority stage.
Well, the authority and the quick cash.
Right.
The combination of I don't want to listen to you, but also I don't have to because I can go over here and I can make $60,000 in a weekend.
He taught me the hustle.
Right.
And to grind and, you got to work. But then again, like you can go get 60, 50, 60 grand, go out and have a lot of fun. And that's easy.
Right. And that's what I think.
In a week.
I think it's obviously your story is very clear. Like it's an awesome off TV story of the easy money kind of thing. But it comes in many forms. Mine was, I would get people that would hit me up with multi-level marketing. Go, dude, you have all these gyms. You could do this and make so much money.
Right.
And I'm like, for today. But I don't believe in that product. And I know that it's not going to be long. And so I know this is the wrong way. So it's still all of us that hustler mentality is needed, and it's going to get you to a certain point where eventually you're going to get that easy money handed to you at that opportunity, and you have to be able to say no, because like in your case, you had what it took to be successful, because we'll continue with the story, and you are now. You didn't need that fast cash, but that fast cash just, it's so hard to stop once you're like, I'm going to go start digging that hole and doing construction tomorrow as a 20-year-old kid, or I'm going to go do this.
And it still resonates today. Like, you know, when I got back, you know, the worry was all my family was like, am I going to have some like post-traumatic stress syndrome? Am I going to be crazy? You know, who is this dude that's going to, who's the dude that's actually going to come back? And it really, you know, the money, if that's your purpose, then give up.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's really that simple. There's a phrase in Portuguese that says, o caixão não tem gaveta, which is your coffin doesn't have drawers. You don't take shit with you when you leave this planet, right? So all this money when you're dead means nothing.
Right.
Is that more important to leave your family, or is it more important to leave a legacy?
Right.
And if you're leaving a good legacy, it usually means hard work, and the consequence of that hard work is success.
Right.
I just didn't get that.
Right. Well, your story is like, I think most people, is when you're young, you rebel a little bit and you don't like the authority, and you are always looking for the easier way, especially, you know, this generation, you know, obviously it makes me sound old, but even just saying this generation, I feel like I'm my grandpa talking, but you know, we had talked about my generation, we all used to just build steel, you know, but it does, you know, it's always, they'll hit me up through Instagram or social media, and it's, here's this problem, how do I find a way around it? How do I not do this? How do I what's the easy path? And it's like, just put your head down and run through it. You know, there's a wall in the way. Stop trying to find a way around or over it or another path. Just put your head down and run through the fucking wall.
If you hit it enough, it's going to break.
Right. It just takes, sometimes it's going to hurt and it's going to take hard work. But I think that we, as a kid, you always have that instinct to just want to try to find the easy way. And you have to be able to have, hopefully, stories like this and other influences that say, look, it's only those instincts that you have to hustle. Keep doing that and stop with the easy way, because it's only going to lead to some bullshit later that's going to create a bigger problem. Because I'm sure you'd trade that couple $100,000 that you made, or however much you made over that period of time, which we won't say, but however much you made, you'd probably trade that for the years that you lost being there.
You know, and I got off, trust me, when I got back, it was like, yo, homie, you ready?
Really?
Oh, God. And there was many times that I was like, shit, I can just make one phone call. I can go scrape up 10, 15 grand because I really need it. You know, I've got a kid on the way. And this is, you know, this is many years after, during my struggles of creating CrossCore and selling the company and losing everything because of that, and then starting WC. But there's been times where, you know, I've been like, fuck, I can't pay the bills. Like, holy shit, I've got the rent due. When the housing crisis was happening, I literally lost my first home that I bought because the market crash. I was one of the victims of losing.
We had that happen too.
A foreclosure, and having to give up a home and lose all my money. And, you know, it's like, it's
always haunting, because like you said after, is when you get out, you're faced with the problem of getting a job. And that's the same thing is, of course, when you know that guy's one phone call away, and I'm going to go on 50 job interviews to be laughed at after I leave, because they're going to look and go, that one thing is going to make me somebody that they don't hire.
That specifies who you are forever. And it's like, wait a minute. So one good thing about being international is I didn't have that record, and finally realized that what my father said, you know, the attorney.
Just don't say it.
Just don't say it, because you're not here. There is no felony here. So that lightened it up a little bit, but still I had that entrepreneurial spirit where I didn't like the authority. I wanted to go out and get it on my own and do everything. So, you know, it taught me the hustle, and there's no money that can really give me back those years. But what it taught me was, you know, money isn't everything. If you work hard and you have determination to do stuff, no matter what your high points are, every rich motherfucker has down points in his life. I don't give a shit who you are. You could be a
Some are just better at pretending they don't, but they all do.
I mean, you may drive a Maserati, a Ferrari, you may have 20 cars, but somewhere within that time of you being alone, at the gym alone, or in your house alone, whether you're married, have a family or children, I mean, I just think most people are afraid to actually admit it. be vulnerable.
I think that at the highest, this is the highest point our business has been at, and it's the most stress. It's the
Right.
hardest. Is people don't realize is getting to that place just seems glorious because the way that society portrays
Right.
that place. But I've never been
Now
under
look
more
at you,
stress.
you're making it.
Right.
You got all this stuff, but it's like the upkeep now.
And like you said, is if I were doing it just for the money, then it would never work because
Right.
when I wake up in the morning, it's very challenging to know that I just added
Right.
50 things on a plate that I thought was too full yesterday.
Right.
Now
Right.
I'm going to have to come in and get that done today. So
and there's no hours to it.
Right.
It's 24/7. You
It's-
wake up and like, oh shit.
Yeah, you're task oriented. It
Right.
doesn't matter how many hours or how much money. It's
Nope.
these things have to get done.
Right.
And so you really have to be doing it for a better reason. And like you said, is the entrepreneur spirit is, the reason that you probably made it through that is that was something that was already instilled in you that was
Yeah.
intrinsic. That you're like, dude, the obstacle doesn't matter. I'm going to find a way.
And it's the challenge.
Yeah.
I think a big part of it too was like proving motherfuckers wrong.
Yep.
Everybody that doubted me, that always said, oh, bro, come on, go get a job, or, oh, this will never work, or, you've always got the greatest ideas, but never seem to get anywhere with them, or you always seem to, get screwed, or it's
You're
like,
waiting for that one line to say, all I need is one, motherfucker, just one. That's
all you
it.
need is one.
Yeah.
I ain't the richest guy in the world, still hustling. But the thing is I don't care about the money. There's been times, like I said, where I could have easily made the phone call and been like, I'll go get 40, 50 grand. Not even traveling.
Yeah.
Not even going out of town, like bossing it type of shit. Like,
Yep.
yo, boom, I need this real quick. What you got?
Yep.
Meet me here, meet me there. Boom,
Which are the
let's go
hardest
do it.
things. You've already paid the price, but what people don't realize is it's so easy from the outside looking in to look at somebody who's made a mistake and gone to jail and
Right.
go, how fucking dumb are they to do it
Right,
again?
right.
Well, the few reasons. One is I went into a job interview at Countrywide that they led me out by security because I wasn't even allowed on the premises with my record,
Right.
which is embarrassing,
Right, you
humiliating. You
felon.
go,
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing this anymore.
Right.
And the other thing is most people that end up in those situations, it's very easy. It's always at their fingertips. Where I've never even done drugs, but just because I was very social and tied in with a lot of people, when I got out, I was automatically offered, hey, if you can figure out a way to smuggle this across the border in a car, you can make this much money.
Boom.
When you get back from 5 interviews and one of them is leading you out in fucking handcuffs and you're humiliated in the last button-up shirt that you own and you live on your friend's couch, it's very, 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 very hard. You can call
Absolutely.
someone an idiot all you want,
Right.
but until you're in that moment, it is incredibly hard
Right.
and challenging to your integrity and your character to say, no, I'll wake up
Right.
tomorrow again. I'll work for minimum wage while I search for another job to tell me that I'm an idiot.
Right.
So,
But, definition of crazy is doing the same shit over and over, thinking
Right.
of a different outcome. You got 2 felonies, same
Right.
time or different times.
it was at the same time.
So you were the smart one, right?
Right.
Like there is the very few.
I
that's
learned
like,
from it for sure, but I won't say that, I and the amazing thing about these things is perspective is an amazing thing.
Right,
I
right.
think I could have been that guy to look at other people and say, what an idiot. And I'm so glad that I have had this experience so I can see the truth
Right.
and that they are not, because it's so easy to sit from your sofa and say, what a dummy. Look at
Right.
that felon. Look at that.
Right.
Look at that criminal just out there
Right.
doing it again.
Right.
Dude, until you've been to 100 interviews where they tell you what a pile of crap you are and they laugh at you or they won't even show up. So many
Talk
of them
about
just
walking in my fucking shoes.
Right. Yeah. And I wouldn't even
Yeah.
get to go in. They would
Right.
just tell me that they can't see you and I'd leave. They'd never even open the door for the interview. And I ended up
Because you
working
click
at
that box.
Right.
Felony. Click.
Right. I ended up
Done.
working at a picking range for in that little cart that everybody shoots the golf balls
Yeah, yeah,
at.
yeah. That tries to hit.
As a grown
Yep.
man, and that was and
Right.
I had to get a buddy to pull strings to get me that job.
Right.
Like, dude,
Right.
and mind you, it was my buddy's little brother who was a kid who was working the same job, and that's just kind of the life that you end up living in.
Right.
So for you I think that's a big part for people to take from it is that's going to be proposed to you, and throughout your life, it's always going to be there. There's always going to be that little
The
bit.
connection's always there.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what person I've become, the success, taking the straight path, helping others, being good, a Samaritan, all of that, I'm always going to be connected to that time in my life. And I don't ever want to lose that connection. Would you ever do it again? If you could do it over, and I told Matt the same thing on this skit. Fuck yes, I would. And I tell all the kids that I talk to. Heck, I just got this question in Inglewood the other day. I work for Matt McConaughey's foundation. I do some
nice.
work for Just Keep Living Foundation, teaching kids. I go in and teach them calisthenics, and we do a little workout, but a lot of it's like mentoring, talk to them about real life shit,
Right.
my story, where I've come and where they're at. And it's, I get the question, if you could, would you do it again? And I say, absolutely. And they kind of look at me like,
Yeah.
but you just told us you watch people die, murdering people, this, and guys being tortured, and like, why would you do it again? I wouldn't be who I was today. I wouldn't have the friends I have today. I wouldn't be on this podcast here for today. Everything culminates into why in $1 billion would not get me to go back to fucking jail.
Right.
Right? I'm not saying like, all right, I'll go do it again.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it again today.
Right. I wouldn't do it again today, but I wouldn't change going through that because, man, I speak Portuguese. I understand Spanish. I understand Italian. I understand a little bit of French. I've traveled the world. I've learned a culture, whether it was a culture of in prison, but I also learned a lot about the Brazilian culture, the Brazilian people, their resilience, what they've gone through.
And probably built a lot of your own resilience.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it took me a solid year, I think. First being, you love God when you get arrested.
Oh yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
Oh God, please get me out of here type shit. Like you get real biblical right when you get arrested, and then you start to really sit and figure out, listen, God doesn't make the freaking decisions. God ain't the judge. God has nothing to do with me getting out of here, right? So I didn't take the path of religion. I took the path of inner focus. I read a lot of books, was mostly into the Buddhist way of life, just Zen and being good to others and not really looking, because I read the Bible, book cover to cover twice, read a good majority of the Quran, because there was nothing you could do except read, right? That was my escape, was reading and doing body weight stuff, push-ups and shit like that. So, you start to read and you start to be able to reflect. And it took me a year to be like, fuck, life sucks.
Right.
But what are the reasons that I went? Why did I do this? How did I get to this place in my life? Where am I going to go from here? And it was just literally sitting back and looking in the mirror and diving into your own soul.
Right.
Nobody else is to fucking blame.
Right. Which you wouldn't have ever done had you not been in that place. So like you said, I always tell people, I'm not, I don't consider myself to be real cheesy in those ways of like, look, what goes around comes around and life's going to blossom, whatever it's going to be. But I'm very realistic about things, and I do analyze things. I'm very analytical. And I had the same experience was going in was I was forced to sit and think about a lot of things, which was very challenging. And for somebody that doesn't just go in there and say, fuck it, and I'm going to go play some cards, it's very challenging to go through that and be in your head and in yourself all the time. But it's a time that you would never do that otherwise. You'd be out fucking around doing something else, and you're never going to become.
Would you have your gyms, bro?
No.
If you didn't go through this shit in life?
Well, what had happened is like you said, is it circles all around. It made me not only become a better person and a stronger and more resilient person, because that was a very trying time for me, and it made me a lot stronger and tougher and put things into perspective. Somebody says I had a bad day, and you're like, well,
come on, bro.
Right. Again, like I said, perspective is a huge thing. So it changed my perspective, my resiliency. It changed me as a person in a very good way. And it also, like you said, is it made me go, I'm never fucking coming back here. There are some people that go to jail, go to prison, and they don't care.
It's a lifestyle.
Right. They don't care. And, that's something to be said about however they choose to live their life. All I can speak on is mine. And in my situation it was torture, and it was terrible. And again, that may make me look soft, but every day sucked. It smelled terrible. The food was terrible. I ended up, in a crazy prison fight that was like off of TV.
Every part of it is
shit. Every part of it was
Yeah.
shit. But coming out of it I was forced to say, okay, I've been doing something for money and I've been successful at it, but it's been suppressing my passion. And now I'm actually forced to go do something in that field because I can't go get a job anywhere else. Right. And where I landed was where I wanted to be anyways, but I couldn't find a way to make money. And then the entrepreneur spirit comes in and it forced me to create my own business. But again, it all happens for a reason. So that's where a lot of the people here that are watching this that are ex-felons is like, you have the opportunity to make it a lifestyle. You have the opportunity to cry about it, or you have the opportunity to take that time, make it the best you can, and learn from that experience the positive things, because there's a lot of things that can be positive to take from it and then roll it out into something
And no matter
good.
the background, right? Like I don't, pardon me, I don't give a shit if you live in the ghettoest of ghetto hoods and there's zero opportunity. Right. As a human being, an individual, our innate ability is to make decisions. Right. You're either going to make a shitty decision, run with the gang, wherever it is, and whether it's in the inner cities, whether you're an upper class person,
Right.
whatever your scenario is, there's no fucking excuse.
Right. I almost feel mine not having money, I think, was a benefit because it made me resourceful. Dude,
Right.
when I think of all the things that I had to create out of nothing. I mean, before there was TRX, I was making, suspension trainers out of tie downs and shit and using PVC pipe for
Exactly.
handles.
Exactly.
Things like that other people would just be like, well, I don't have money to buy this. So I think that everybody can look, again, you can look at it as I don't have money, or you can look at it as look at all the things that I've created to be more resourceful that I can apply to something. You always have that opportunity to look at it one way or the other.
Right.
And so I think that for those people and the people that I see in jail or in prison, they become more resourceful because in there you have to have better intersocial skills. You have to be able to read people. You have to be able to learn people. Your street smarts, ability to negotiate, sell. You're selling yourself every day.
Constantly.
Not to get your ass whooped, to get an extra piece of bread.
Right.
There's a lot of things that people look at and just go, I was in jail. But dude, you took a lot away from that you could apply. You just got to figure out where to apply it.
It's, you can either make it a good college,
right,
or you can make it a college because you learn to be a better criminal in jail. I'll give you that.
Right.
I mean, you don't go in going, peaches and sour whipped cream or whatever and come out the same way. You come out going, oh shit.
This guy told me how to do this and showed me how to do that.
I learned how to cut through steel fucking bars with a Gillette.
So, I mean,
the razors to cut through steel bars. Like, it blew my fucking mind that this could be done.
Yeah.
And we did it.
Yeah.
Like,
because you guys ended up having a prison break that you ended up turning around from, right?
There was a couple, right? I mean, we had, the big one was the Nigerians paid off the cops. It was like $75,000. And we literally, ground out the concrete, the bricks, because you could scrape it out, pull a brick out, throw that shit, put a poster up on the wall. Went through that. I stuck my head out and I came back because that's the last thing my dad, told me, the last thing he said when he left is, don't you fucking escape.
Yep.
Don't you fucking escape.
He straight Shawshanked it and turned around.
I was out the wall, looking at freedom, and everybody's saying, bye, go, 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 go. And I was like, came back in. My buddies were like, dude, let's go. I was like, nah, I can't do it.
Well, looking back now, you obviously made a good choice.
And Thank God.
Yeah, now it's allowed you to do other things. So you got out, and at what point did you end up? So now, for anyone that doesn't know, you went on to create the World Calisthenics Organization, which does the biggest bar competitions at all the expos.
Yep.
And I mean, it's anybody that's been to any fitness expo, that's been on YouTube or Facebook and seen anybody do anything crazy in a bar.
Usually knows what it is. Yeah. So I mean, I came back. When I first got out, my buddy gave me the opportunity to go work at MTV. Right, be a PA.
Okay.
PA, dude, how much you make being a PA? Oh, $250 a day.
Killing it.
Remember, when I left, there was no internet.
Right.
I came back and there's Gateway and internet and all this cool shit. And I'm like, $250 a day?
Yeah.
Rocket. Granted, it's like unloading a truck of sand with wheelbarrows to make a volleyball court 300 yards away.
Right.
No, we're not going to dump it over there. You have to just take it by hand over there. So it was grunt work and it was hard, but it was like, I got this. I'm fucking free. Boom.
I'm making money.
A couple months out of, 2 months when I got home, I kind of just readjusted, had to gain some weight back and just get my mind straight and started working for MTV. Did that for 5 or 6 months. And then my dad told me, go work for your Uncle Bob. He wants to see you. And not my real blood uncle, but it was, one of the guys that my dad grew up with since elementary school. And it's always been Uncle Bob. And he owned a fitness company. You ever heard of Semco, CEMCO?
Yeah.
He was the first one to create solid steel dumbbells for Joe Gold and every fucking weight stack we made. So go see your Uncle Bob.
Old standard weight plates.
Yeah. I mean, we made everything, all free weights manufactured here, etc. So go see your Uncle Bob. He wants to, give you a job. Because Bob was the one that helped save me with my dad in Brazil. He came down and visited, helped, bring in the money and do all this shit. So rock and roll, I'm going to go see Uncle Bob. I went to the nines, nice pair of shoes, jeans,
suited and booted,
ready to sell, right? Ready to get in the office and sell. I walk in, he looks at me, and first thing, mind you, I come from a Sicilian father that says fuck every other word, and Bob is probably the only other dude that says fuck more than my dad.
I love it. Okay.
So I walk in, and he looks at me, he always has a rubber band on his wrist, so when he gets pissed off, he snaps the rubber band to get him out of it, and he always had his glasses, and he looked up at me, pulls his glasses off, snaps his rubber band, and I was like, he's like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, come to work. Go home, put on a dirty pair of jeans and a t-shirt, come back, get your steel toe boots from Juan. We got some containers of Olympic plates for you to unload. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, unload it by hand. What do you mean? Like, they'll put a pallet up there for you. You need to take all these 45s, put 3,000 pounds on them on each pallet. They'll take it off and give you another pallet. And just keep doing that till each container's empty.
You needed to put weight back on, so that'll help.
Right? So I was like...
all day lifting, I mean...
Yeah, 48,000 pounds in that container? Yeah, okay. So I would, he sent me on that mission to go sweep floors, unload containers. I learned how to work lathes and neural steel Olympic bars. I found out, tensile strengths of steel and really started to like, wow, okay, you're not giving me anything. You gave me the job, which I was grateful for, but he put me at the bottom.
Yeah.
And made me work my way up. And then I found out the guy he had running his company was ripping him off. So it was either, I quit or I'm going to beat this motherfucker's ass. Because, you come out of jail and then thieves are one of those things like rapists and child molesters and people that burn other people, like the shit.
Well, also, they're treated different. The way that things are handled in prison.
Yes, it's a big different treatment,
the same way
right?
In the workplace.
Yes. So it's like...
it carries over a little in your mind.
Uncle, I'm either going to, like, smash this guy in the back because I have proof he's stealing from you.
Yeah.
Here it is, or fire him, or I'm going to quit. He's like, man, I don't know what to do. I can't let him go. He doesn't want to come back and work full time. You don't know shit about this industry. You've been unloading containers.
Right.
You've been here for 5 months. But he took the chance with me. He's like, you know what? Called the guy in and said, you're out of here. Take it over. And I was like, oh shit. Literally got in the office. I'd be on the phone trying to sell Olympic bars and someone asked me, okay, what's a tensile strength and what's this and what's that and what's the memory of the steel and is it annealed? Is it this? And I'm going, Ryerson, like steel books. And as they're talking, internet was just, Google was there that you could use. And I'm flipping through Ryerson and Fry steel books looking for tensils, Googling while on the phone going, oh yeah, it's 150,000 PSI and the memory strength is this and it was annealed and quenched. And I'm saying the right shit because I'm reading it out of books and wow.
Yeah, but the thing for people to take from this is there's a lot of people that have that opportunity, right? You get that opportunity and there's a lot of people that are going to either just not get on the phone because they're scared, they won't take the job, or they take the job and they get on the phone and they think they're just going to bullshit and they say the wrong things.
Right.
Now, the third person is you, and that's the person that applies that to everything, which is to be a good entrepreneur or really to be anyone good in any workplace. It has to be a certain level of value is you're the person who's going to go into a space and even if you don't know it, you're going to fucking figure it out. And you're going to figure it out now. I get pushed back a lot of time because people say you roll out so many new ideas. It's so fast. It's so this, it's so that. The reality is if it's necessary, it's necessary for you to figure it out. And so in your case, easily you could have gone to him and gone, it's not fair. I need a training program. I need a 6-week training program on this. Yeah, but that's not life. And if you want to be successful, your training program is pick that fucking book up. Read that while you're on the phone and figure it out.
Like we talked about earlier, it's like everybody's a fucking winner.
Right. Not everyone's going to respond in the same way, but they have to understand that you are going to have to respond in the right way or you're not going to be successful. And it's those little things that I think people miss is that one part of your story someone could have watched this and gone, so what? So he read a book. But that's the reason why you were successful is because you rose to the occasion and you went into a situation you didn't know. Right. He challenged you. You rose to that challenge. You didn't cry about it and you didn't say, I work for you and you didn't provide proper this or this or this. You just opened up a book, you figured it out, you Googled this, you did that, and you ended up making it through.
I mean, he didn't know how to help somebody in jail. Like I got arrested and it was him and my dad. Boom. They were on getting shit done. You don't learn how to do that. You just got to go fucking do it to save somebody, right? He gave me the trust to turn his business over to me. Now his life almost depended on me. You know what I mean? Like I got to make this money. I got to learn this. The only way to do it is actually doing it, not being afraid.
Right.
And if you make a mistake, like you just said, put your head, the wall may be thick.
Yeah.
But man, if you go into it enough times, you're going to
run right through it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like you said, it's something that you just mentioned too, is something that we've mentioned before, which is feeling a sense of responsibility can be an amazing thing. Is you felt a sense of responsibility to yourself because this is an opportunity and a sense of responsibility to him because he gave you that opportunity. And a lot of people say that's a heavy weight on me or it deters me from wanting to do it. And when it should be proper motivation is this is going to be hard, but I'm not going to fail because I know they trusted in me in doing it. And it should be something that drives you forward as opposed to something that you're trying to get away from.
And that's, the takeaway, I think, for everybody, and it's, may sound super cliche and to the world, right? When you speak about helping others or influencing others, or what could you say back to people? I got a hoot out of this when I was talking to these kids. I think you were with me, Jarvis. We were at Port of Los Angeles High School. And like the one takeaway that after everything was said and done and going deep into stories, and the one thing that I literally told them was, if I leave you with anything, after telling you all this, and I'm not telling you who to be, I don't know your life, I'm telling you what I'm about, all I can say is, don't fuck it up. It's that easy.
Yep.
Like, just don't fuck it up. You may fuck up in life,
right, and
you're going to learn from it. But without being super explanatory of, little Johnny, you have to do this, or Blum, and follow this path. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Like, just don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Right?
It's solid advice and pretty to the point for sure.
You can't, if you're in your business, when you're starting your gyms or when you were starting your training in the park, and then you had the opportunity to open your first brick and mortar.
Yeah.
What was the biggest fear that you had? Don't fuck it up. Man, don't fuck this up.
Right. And it's still the fear now. It's just the fear is bigger because you've got more people, again,
more responsibility, more to depend on you.
Right. But it's still every day.
But the moral is, don't fuck this up.
Everything that crosses my desk that I have to sign on, don't fuck it up. This better not be the wrong choice.
And you got to look at it and go, And we're going to make the wrong choices. It's part of life. And I think how you learn from bad choices you make or what create larger opportunity for you to really realize, like, oh, wow, this is something that I can actually harness what I've learned and what I take away from this to help others, or to give others opportunities to learn with others. I'm always on a daily basis, whether it's a younger kid in, junior high school and high school, 12, 13, 14, to older people, to whoever it is. I always look at it as, the time that I did lose by my own stupidity, I really like to listen to other people and listen and go, ooh, that point was pretty solid, and because I don't know everything.
Right.
I get from just sitting in the first 45 minutes we were here just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
There's so much that I can take away from that, from you as an entrepreneur and why you got to where you were. You're like, yo, dude, that applies to what I did. Wow, I could that helped me just click through something, right? So it's like there's so much out there.
Yeah. And I think that too is, like you had said, is the failing part is, even if you, like you said, even if you do fail temporarily, don't fuck it up. And the failing part is something that I tell people, you have to be trying to avoid failure is the fatal flaw.
Right,
Go out and don't be afraid to fail, be willing to fail.
Right.
Because you and I wouldn't be here with the perspective we have, the knowledge we have, the resiliency, the willpower, the work ethic, if we hadn't failed. And even not just for me in those aspects was business-wise. I didn't go to the Morton School of Business. I don't know. I didn't know shit about business.
Right.
Every single thing that I learned was because I did it wrong at least once.
Absolutely.
So I did it wrong and went, I'll tell you for a fact, one thing, that's not how you do it.
That's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
Right.
And so this is going to be a new approach.
Right.
And so those are things that people just have to be able to take from it, is whether it's a felony, or it's a business that closed, is there's so many positive things to take from it, because that's not just a failure. That's an experience that you can learn from, that only you could learn from in that way.
Some of your biggest successes are driven by your biggest failures.
Yeah. The best lessons learned, the best motivations.
Right. When you go out and you smash that home run because of pure fucking talent, right? You get on that team just because you have pure athletic talent. And then you strike out, or you start to get older, or you think that your talent can keep you going through it all when it actually can't. And then you take a downward spiral because you can no longer depend on just your talent. It actually takes practice too.
Right. And you don't have any of those skills built because you didn't have to develop them. There wasn't any failure that drove you to go out and start practicing.
The real world hits you.
Yeah.
Right?
And there is no amount of talent or smarts that drives you all the way.
No,
It'll get you somewhere. And the younger kids that watch this will say, well, I know this one guy and his parents gave him everything and he did start this business, he did that. I'll tell you this. Unless he's the anomaly and he isn't doing those other things, that will fail. Right. It's eventual. Right. So it's not saying that it can't happen for a period of time, but it doesn't last forever because, like you just said, life hits you. Life is going to come at you, and it's going to challenge you in a way that these failures, going to jail, falling down, being willing to take chances, those things develop you in a way to be able to have the resiliency to get back up and fix that problem.
And it becomes who you are as a person. I mean, I know, personal relationships, personal friends in my life that came from very well off families, and this is that anomaly, right? That I don't give a shit where you're from or what you come from. If you have a lot of money, you could be way unhappier than the dude that doesn't have a pot to piss in. I have a buddy that literally, family owns huge car dealerships. I just remember, Brad was always the dude that was like,
had it all.
Money, had it all, girls, college, we're all buddies. And, all of a sudden, you get this call that, wow, he killed himself.
Yep.
It's like, wait a minute. Brad makes, he works at the dealership where his parents. He makes a couple $100,000 a year. He's married, has good-looking kids. He had a little gambling issue and liked to drink.
Right.
That's where you never fucking know, right?
Right.
What's in somebody's deepest, darkest places, and it doesn't matter what you actually have, because he had everything. Still decided to go to the roof of his fucking building with his whole family on the ground floor, call his brother while on the phone, blow his fucking head off, and he had everything.
Yeah, and that's where now is that perspective too for anybody that's watching this that is somebody who had a felony or somebody who's struggling going through it is you think I've got nothing and that this person has everything. And, comparison is just sometimes the biggest devil, especially when you're down, is everybody seems to have more.
Right.
But again, like you said, some of the people that I know that are the happiest don't have anything on paper. Is we draw this list. I don't check any of the boxes on this list. Brad has all this.
Right.
I'm the guy here who's the laughing stock because I have the felony and I work at McDonald's right now.
Right.
The reality is I know people that are so fucking happy that work at minimum wage, mid-level job
because they
take
love
a
themselves.
Right, they're just happy.
Right,
happiness is a choice, which again sounds very cheesy and like a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
But it really is. The more I've gone through this, is coming from nothing, wearing my mom's shoes to school and shit, and now having more than I ever thought that I could have.
Right.
Is I went from that poor perspective of you have to check the boxes and you have to have the money and you have to have the house and you have to do these things and by a certain age and you start to realize those confines actually make you less happy and they don't mean shit.
Right.
And then you start to see this guy and you go, man, you make $40,000 a year and you live in an apartment and you are always fucking happy and you go on this one vacation a year and you hang out with your friends on the weekend.
Yeah.
That's what
and
makes
all you
him
do is
happy.
complain. If you're the dude that's always like, fuck, my life is so hard. But
right. There's always that guy that chooses that, and then there's this guy. And so you realize I've got friends that do very well that are very happy and friends that don't do well that are happy.
Right.
But you just look at it and just go, it's really them understanding themselves.
Right.
They figure out what does make me happy and they go do it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the things that a lot of the time we paint that picture of.
Right.
And that's where hopefully the podcast gets that across. Like even with your story is if somebody were to hear your story and go, fuck, man, you were in that situation. Like, oh man, your life's gonna be grim and it's gonna be terrible.
Right.
Is we all have lows, and it doesn't matter where you are. You can always climb back out, and as long as you know what's gonna go make you happy, go fucking do it. And none of these obstacles have to hold you back from it.
And I think the biggest error of that is and as a just a person is I think we as people are sometimes too embarrassed to be real, right? To actually talk with people.
Right.
Social media is what it is, and you're never beautiful enough, or you're never this, or you're never that, or somebody's always better than you. But I think the biggest problem that we have as a society is we've made it, if you don't drive the Beamer, if you don't have this, you're somewhat of the loser, and then that brings you down to being depressed, and all you're thinking about, I don't have this, but he has that, and then those people look down at you because you don't have enough, when it's really, you have to be first and foremost real with yourself.
Yep.
Number one, if you don't like yourself, you're never going to achieve anything.
And if you don't, you have to figure out what makes you like yourself and not what makes your parents like you, what makes other people like you. Because a lot of the time, that's what we determine is mom says this makes me better, or dad says this will make me successful.
And I hate to say it like this. I mean, even when it comes to parents, friends, acquaintances, and deep enough to your parents, fuck everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
When it comes to you being happy, that is the term that it should be. It ain't about them. And they aren't going to be happy with you if you're not happy with yourself. So it's like you got to, and when it comes to you got to be selfish and be able to say fuck everybody else.
And people are afraid to admit that they're vulnerable. They're afraid to reach out and talk to people. Like if I have an issue, man, it's almost the point where I have to talk about it, right? No matter which way it is, whether it comes out in a conversation with somebody else, or whether I really need to find somebody to speak with, people, friends especially, may be embarrassed to tell their buddy, man, bro, I've been having a hard time, and because you got to be, tough, and you got to be. And so that's, I think, what we as a society, instead of pussifying everybody like we're doing, like, oh God, everybody's a winner in the soccer game that doesn't have a ball.
Right.
We pussify it so much that we never get people to like really understand, like, yo, accept who you are, talk to people, because mostly nobody's communicating.
Right. And it's, it's okay to say that you're not happy with something and not be embarrassed about it. You'll talk to somebody and go, well, I'm 30 and I should have been married by now. It's like, says who? Who the fuck says
what
that?
Book? Right.
So I think a lot of the time we're embarrassed and we feel like, I don't want to admit that. And so I don't want to do this. So I think that that's something that, again, is going through certain things and starting to have to, like you said, you spent time in jail learning who you were. And you have to spend time asking those questions. We're so busy trying to go out and study or prove to somebody else.
Right.
Our days are so full of doing other shit that we don't spend enough time. I get so many people that'll hit me up and they'll say, this is what I want. I work so hard. I really want a car like yours, or whatever. And I'll say, why? And they'll say, because it's dope. And I'm like, okay, so why is it dope? Like, what does it mean to you? And I'm like, do you understand like the work that goes into it? And like this didn't come easy. And even at this point, even though I do well, it still takes a lot of work to be able to purchase those kind of things. And so I let them know, this is what it means to me. Every morning or every night I went to sleep looking at that poster as a kid. This is a childhood dream that came out. And I paint this picture to them of what it truly means to me, more than a car. And they're kind of like, well, it's not that to me. And I'm like, well, then ask yourself, why does it make you happy? If it makes you happy pulling up to impress your friends, that's going to be short-lived.
Right.
And within a month, they're going to move on to being impressed by somebody else who has a faster car, no matter what it is. And now you've worked really hard to do this thing that doesn't bring you any joy anymore. So, but we don't take 5 minutes to think about
it. Exactly.
Why do I want that? And
do I want it because you have it?
Because society says it's super cool, or because this guy on Instagram that has more followers has 5 of them. It's okay to want stuff that's nice, but it should mean something to you.
Right.
And otherwise, if you just have it, you have it. But if it's an actual goal and it's something you're working towards, it has to be something to bring you value. And it has
make
to
it
be
achievable.
Right.
Your dream was to have, what's her name? The car.
Eleanor?
Eleanor, right? Yeah. To have Ellen. Now you got Eleanor.
Right.
But that was something that you looked at as a kid and were like, I'm going to hustle after because I like that car. Right. Not because Johnny's got the car, but you're like, fuck, that's the car I want.
Yeah, I mean, we look at it in like each one of the funny thing when I'll talk to somebody is from the outside looking in, I sometimes get a negative perception where people will start to put me in a box. And they go, oh, the guy that has the cars that does this. And when they'll talk to me, they're like, this dude had a fucking 15-minute story about why he loves that car so much. And so
how many years did it take you to buy that fucking car?
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, forever. I worked for 11 years, 10 years,
right? Almost 11, 12 years to buy one car that was your dream.
Right. And I tell them too is the story behind it is my sister and I, when we were younger, we didn't have cable. We didn't have cable TV, and we just had a VHS machine. And mind you, there were DVDs.
And that was the one movie you had?
Well, yeah, we had like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. We had Dumb and Dumber. And then as time went on, we ended up getting Gone in 60 Seconds. So mind you, by that point, it was DVD.
Right.
But we still had the VHS. So we ended up watching that movie over and over and over and over. And her and I both, even her more than me, would say, if we could ever see it one day, sit in it.
Right.
And it builds this dream. And when I was young, they'd say that's ADD. Don't be a daydreamer. That was one of my biggest assets. I would dream so hard about how it would feel to be in there and the pride that I'd have of working for it, and I'd taken my sister on a drive for it, taking my dad. Is those things build value in you, and it's no longer
instills that ethic of work.
Yeah, it's not a car sitting in your driveway. It's a dream, and it's these things that you've pictured and the value that it brings. So, I think that there's a lot of people that just go, well, this is a goal because my mom said it or society said it.
Right.
And like you said, I think that it does have to be something that brings value, something.
And people don't usually, because of the ease of social media, people usually only see the outcome of that picture.
Right.
Like they see you in the Lambo, but they don't see... Because Instagram doesn't go back 18 years ago to where you were eating,
crying on the gym floor when
eating tuna and cup of noodles.
Yeah, when I couldn't afford to hire a guy to put the rig in, so I'm there with a dirty old drill bit trying to do it myself. Yeah, I mean they don't see those things, and that's why I spent a lot of time. Now is the unfortunate thing is you almost have to use the picture to build any sort of validation to them,
Right.
like, okay, you're worth listening to for 5 seconds.
Right,
So
right,
it gets their
right.
attention.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's a Lamborghini. Let me see what this idiot has to say.
Exactly.
And then, I try to spend a long time with long captions explaining. And every single time I make sure that I'm not putting a car up that goes ballin', it's cool, it's fast. Every time is, hey, got your attention.
Yeah.
But
here's what happened.
Here's the true story.
Consequences. Exactly. And
Right.
it's the hustle.
Which is what I hope that more people, you're very open with your story, and that's what I hope more people are willing to do. Is if you reach a place of success, a lot of people think that it's such a negative thing in society to tell the bad parts. So, great, I own the World Calisthenics Organization. The most prestigious calisthenic organization in the world. We have all these things that we do, and I've found great success. And I'm just a successful guy. They could forget about their past. Nobody has to hear about that. You don't have to be on this podcast telling about the dirt. But that's what I love is, I want kids, or even, I don't care if the guy's 50 years old and has a new dream. Here the reality of it is, this is the truth. All those motherfuckers you see that are driving a fucking Lamborghini, they've made mistakes. They fucked up. They go to bed crying sometimes, and life can suck.
Yep.
The reality is it's going to take those things, and you have to be able to go through certain things, and we've all made mistakes. Wear them as a badge of pride and honor instead of trying to suppress them, and paint a true picture on social media.
Yeah, I mean, we're still growing. That's kind of like the reason I started this WCO once CrossCore, that whole thing, the sale of the company, a lot of shit happened. I started
either way, but for you guys you guys have seen TRX, CrossCore was a really cool innovation, basically that allowed you to do unilateral movements, and it was all based off of a pulley that could be in a locked place or it could be in rotational.
Right.
And I remember when it came out, I was impressed. It was like I was telling him earlier, an idea is really, really good, in my opinion, when you see it and go, it's so simple. Why didn't I think of it? It's so good. It makes so much sense. And I remember the CrossCore was that everyone that did calisthenic stuff all of a sudden was like, this is the thing.
And awesome training tool. And that's one of, the things that I can say that was, I've patented, created a whole training protocol behind it. And I love the health and fitness industry, but then getting and starting, WCO was just one of those things where it's like, I did it because I thought what was missing, what fitness needed, right? Because I had been working for my uncle, then I had done CrossCore, and then with the whole CrossCore thing and selling to Mad Dog Athletics and my partners and those dickheads and a bunch of shit that happened. Never said that before, but
I like that we're keeping it 100.
All that shit happened, and then it was like, I'm going to do something, because all I got from a couple of my partners when we first started doing this, oh man, there's just a bunch of kids, playing around on monkey bars.
Right.
It was like, no, this is an opportunity to give back, right? To teach people how to move, to give opportunity to people to start a really cool sport, but to take that chance and to be like, I'm going to do this. And literally it started from nothing, starting from some ideas, and it started to snowball. And it was, how are we going to do this? Like, I got invited to let's do a competition at the Fit Expo, because I was doing some MMA stuff, and the Fit Expo was like, hey, we did a little competition, bar stuff during the MMA hour. And then they're like, wow, that was really cool. You guys should. And literally it was that fake it till you make it shit. Like, oh, do you guys do this all the time? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, it's a company. And they're like, all right, you want to do this at the next expo?
Yep.
And we'll give you the big space. And I literally sat back and I went, fuck, how do we were just joking. Like,
right.
And it just snowballed. It was like, okay. Then it turns into an opportunity. How do we make this something bigger? How do we reach more people? How do we just get people to move and have fun and understand reasoning behind a community and not bullshitting? I guess the biggest thing was, let's just be real about it. I'm not embarrassed. I have a lot of people that, I run as with you, right? So you're an entrepreneur, and I think that's the great thing about the entrepreneurial spirit is I don't give a fuck.
Right.
At this point, you don't pay my motherfucking bills.
Yep.
Because I work my ass off. And if you're going to look down at me as a fitness professional, I've been in this game for 22 years now, since 97.
Right.
Which is a long freaking time,
yeah.
right?
Now when you say it out loud.
You're right. You're looking at, fuck.
Yeah.
I've been in this game for a long time. You thought I was an awesome person before you knew I went to prison, but then you hear that I went to prison 20 years ago and now your opinions change? Fuck you.
Well, it's a pretty powerful thing to be able to say, I don't give a fuck, because a lot of people say it, but they do. And it's just almost something that's ingrained in us when you're young is you are supposed to care. This is how you act. These are the things you do.
Right.
And it's very hard to get out of that mindset.
Right.
It's a very powerful thing to
Absolutely.
just say, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like tell people all the time, like somebody will say, if you post that, people are going to think this. I'm like, they can think whatever. Why would that matter to me? They can think whatever they want. This is something genuine for me. I'm going to post it.
Right.
And it is a very powerful thing. And you do come into your own in a very big way when you just go, I don't really fucking care.
And I care about it. Don't get us wrong. You know, you care about other people.
Right. But I care less about them saying, I don't like what
opinion.
You do.
Right. I don't care about your opinion.
Right. I don't care what you do. Like, as far as you saying that you don't like my post or you don't like what I do for my gym or this or that, is you're entitled to your opinion, but it doesn't affect me.
Right.
I'm not losing sleep over it.
Exactly.
And that's the hard thing, is a lot of the time when you look back, you go, wow, I lost a lot of sleep over an acquaintance not liking something I did, or Jane said they said a mean thing about me, and it stings you. And it's like, of course there's certain people that are going to hurt you, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that shouldn't be able to. And as an entrepreneur, especially, it becomes a very powerful thing when you're able to just say, like, you can have your opinion and I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
I don't give a shit what your thoughts of me are, because really I'm being true to myself.
Right.
I'm being true to others. When you start looking at like doing wrong shit, right? Doing bad or wrong stuff is way harder than just like hustling and doing good shit.
Right.
You have to, there's so much more you got to follow up on lies. If you're lying and if you're stealing this, if you're taking from this guy, you got to watch your back over here with this guy. And instead of being like, yo, this is good. It makes life so much easier.
Well, we were even talking about profanity, is like saying, you know, I'll drop an F-bomb or I'll say shit or whatever the deal is. And it's easier even in that aspect because it's just natural. So instead of me trying to catch myself, like, am I having a business talk now?
Right.
Or are we friends? Or are you someone here? I'm always me. I don't have to worry about what hat I put on today to talk to you. You are always going to get me. And some people might not like it. Some people will. But you always know what you're getting. And what I've learned is there's a lot of people that don't love everything that's said by somebody who's genuine. Mm-hmm. But you'll always notice this much greater acceptance of it and higher level of respect. Like, I don't really like what they do. I don't agree with it.
Right.
But I like that. I know that I'm getting the truth, and I just love that that's who they are. And there's so much fake and bullshit out there that people really just are like, I just like that you're not that.
That you're not, and that's, when I go in and talk to kids, 'cause the high schools that I work with, they're all like lower income. Usually in the LA, you've got 12 schools you work with in LA, ranging from kids from 13 to seniors. So 12, 13 to 17 going on 18, right? Every time I go in there and I talk first thing with the team leaders, the teachers that are there, is like, yo, every now and then you may hear me say a bad word.
Yep.
I let the kids know, like, you're going to get a bad word out of me sooner or later. And really what I've found is everybody's like this. And the minute you say, and shit, or, that really had a fucking effect on, the guard drops.
Right. Well, because they know that you're being genuine.
Exactly.
If you were to have said, oh, it was a real fart situation, they're
people would be like,
well, it's just fake and it's not you and it doesn't flow properly. And I've tried to
I don't get that feeling.
Right. You can feel when someone's genuine and authentic. And even like we talked about the podcast, like that's why my notes are none, and yours too, is these are real. It's a real conversation. You're getting real answers. You're getting something that's off the top of somebody's head that's authentic, not something they thought about and they scripted.
Or that was written down for me to have the proper answer to tell you A, B, C.
It's not going to resonate with somebody the same way because it shouldn't.
Exactly. It shouldn't. And I'm not. And anybody that's having to, and this goes out to really everybody. If you're having to hide behind something, or if you're having to hide who you really are to gain acceptance, whether it's in the business place or your friends, you're gonna have bigger issues down the road.
Yeah, and the funny part is the people that think that they have to hide that stuff. Every time I have a friend or somebody I meet that's hiding something, it's the best stuff. I'm like, you're hiding that you're actually funny or goofy or kind of quirky. Like, that makes you. You're way better. You're boring by trying to not do that stuff.
I can't do that. And
right. I'm like, no, like, you're fucking great when you do that weird stuff. Yeah. Find a job that you can be yourself.
Being authentic with who you are, and once again, it all comes with accepting who you are first.
Right. Yeah.
You can't teach other people, or you can't give your experience to other people if you don't really get to the core of your personality and be like, yo, I'm good with who I am. Yeah. And listen,
regardless of the mistakes and everything else. And the thing you would hit on that's a big thing on social media right now that I think is a cool topic is you said the fake it till you make it, which is something that I've said. And now people, because social media has to have something to talk about, some of the motivational people are doing a spin on it, like, fuck fake it till you make it. That's stupid. People are doing it. Now, they're doing that because it gets them a different spin on a popular term. But I want to be clear on the fact that it is absolutely necessary to fake it till you make it. And what I mean by that is, when somebody comes to me, I'll give my example of when I first trained. Is somebody came to me and said, I was 16, said, this guy's a professional soccer player. Can you train him? And I'd never trained a professional soccer player, and I had no idea about how to train him.
Right.
And I said, absolutely.
Fuck
and
yeah.
yes, I will. And then I went and I studied for 3 hours on how to do proper drills with a soccer player, and I put him through a great session. The difference is you absolutely, in all areas of your fucking life, are going to be approached with certain situations that you are unsure of, that you do not know how to do, that you have never faced before. And you have two choices. One is, I'm going to fucking go after this, and I'm going to go after it with confidence, because that's the only way anyone's going to allow me to do it.
Right.
By saying, maybe I'll try it. Nobody wants you to do that.
You're done.
Right. You're not doing it. Or two is you say, no, I don't know how to do it. Now you miss out on an opportunity.
Right.
And as anybody that comes from situations that don't have a silver spoon, no, opportunities don't knock every day.
Nope.
So you have to be willing to say yes. Now, the part that social media has spun is the part of people posting the cool car, renting a Lamborghini. That's not faking it till you make it. That's just
fucking faking it.
Right. There's no
bullshit.
faking till you make it. That's
Right.
being a silly fool on social media. Okay. The faking it till you make it, to anyone who's an entrepreneur, knows the difference, and it is essential. It is necessary.
You just touched it right there. Right. The people that go against, to fuck it, fake it till you make it. Those are the people that aren't entrepreneurs.
Right.
Those are the people that don't, because if you're an entrepreneur and you say that to somebody that's hustled and built something, they immediately know what that means. It's not the connotation of, I've got fake tits and I'm showing that I have a car, but when actuality I rented that for the day because I drive a Toyota.
Right. Or they ended up coming across an entrepreneur that did it the wrong way, which is saying yes, and then they didn't do their due diligence and they delivered a shit product, service, or something else.
Exactly.
Now, the real entrepreneur knows it's necessary, but it's also necessary to not only say that you absolutely can deliver, but then turn around and make sure you do the work to make sure you do deliver.
Well, you couldn't have gone and taught that train that guy that's doing soccer unless you would have spent that time going, okay, what moves are dominant in the sport? What do we have to work on? You did the work. You faked it to get the opportunity.
To go do the work, to then deliver it. And then when I did, dude ended up passing out, said it was the best session he'd ever had. I'm 16, but the work that I did allowed me to deliver that session. And he was impressed, and I got to keep training him. So I hope that people can take that, because when you said that's a trending thing that people are seeing right now. And I listened to it, and I'm like, it's just so silly. Like, nah, these people faking it with a Lamborghini that's rented. Like, that isn't faking it till you make it. That's just trying to look cool on social media, and it's far different than what's necessary.
A lie as opposed to a fake. Right. So you're just blatantly lying about who you are as opposed to accepting, and same thing. Like, hey, when I was just starting out on cross-core and this and that, and I never really went and got that crazy fitness education. I just literally I learned how to move. I did a lot of body weight exercises. I came up with this concept, and I saw TRX, and I was like, what the fuck? Like
I could do better. I'm going to do this.
I got something that's better, and I just literally hustled it up, put it together, and I just went for it, right?
And I think the big thing, like you just said, went for it, is confidence. So sometimes faking it till you make it, people think that you're making false claims, which maybe sometimes you're making a temporary false claim. Yes, I can train a soccer player, and now I'm going to go figure it out. But a lot of the time, it's not making a claim at all. It's just simply approaching something with confidence when you really aren't confident. You're faking your confidence. And that's what I tell people a lot of the time. When, my wife ended up coming into the training space, she wasn't a trainer. And she came in to train, and she goes, I don't know what I'm doing. And I said, you've already gone through all this. You do know what you're doing. I'm just really insecure. And I said, that's the part that has to be kicked. You have to go in there like you've trained for 50 years. Go in there with a sense of confidence, and they won't know the difference because that confidence. And that's like that with most things. And that's the faking it till you make it. Is I'm faking that I'm confident even though I'm scared shitless. And and I'm going to go into this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes with that confidence. Yes, I got this. And then you're going to deliver.
And you hustle on it. And you get it done. And then that's where the misunderstanding of the faking part, you're not going and showing people fake awards that you're the greatest trainer in the world. Saying, no, look at me, I've got 10 degrees and all this. No, you're seriously, I'm a very knowledgeable professional. I know what I'm doing. I know how to coach people. I know there's people that are higher level athletes that I may not be able to do stuff that they do physically, but I know how to train them for it, But I didn't know how to do that always. And there's still stuff that I fake to this day. Like on a daily basis. Like I get questions from people, and it's like, yo, this and that. And it's like,
well, that's all day. As an entrepreneur, you better be ready to do that on a regular basis. We had a girl that did my last birthday party. They were clients, and they started an event business, and they ended up doing this birthday party for me, and they did 50 things they've never done before. But made it seem as though all of it was totally fine and they could do it. And they delivered on it as though they had done it 50 times before.
Right.
And I was completely blown away. Like, this is the best event. Like, you over-delivered and did such an amazing job.
And then they go, it's the first time I've done it. And you're like,
right.
What?
We never did that. We just made that for
Right.
your event, but it looked like, oh, we're just delivering our thing that we always use. And so that's the difference, is be willing to embrace that challenge with a sense of
Right.
confidence as though you've done it 50 times before, and then do the fucking work to make it look like you have.
Right. And that's, that's another thing we point on. Most people are not willing to do the work. To
Right.
this day, okay, I've got a really cool fucking acronym: CEO, president,
Yep.
owner, director, boss, whatever those fucking words may be,
Yep.
mean shit. Because I still load my truck
Yep.
with my guys. I still pull out the wrenches. I still cut my fingers. I still get greasy. I will never stop doing that. No matter if I get to the point where I've got the Lamborghini and I'm flying in the private jet, guess what? You're all coming in the private jet with me, and guess what? I'm still going to build the rack with you.
Yeah, and what I tell them is, look, you'll see my owner Tommy in San Diego was plunging the toilet, and his wife goes, "Oh, so nobody cares that you do that," because he said something about doing it, or said nobody cares, and she was just teasing him. But I said, I think they really do care. Is the point is, you don't have to do it every day. It's not your job, so you don't have to build everything. You don't have to plunge every toilet. But I think that as a true leader, you should always be willing to. If it's necessary, you step in and you do it. It doesn't mean that every day you have to come in and grab a plunger to prove a point.
Right.
But if you see the toilet that's dirty, wipe it down and clean it. There shouldn't be anything that's above you.
Right.
And I think those things just come down to work ethic. Also, going through a certain period of time is like, look, I'm not above that. I've been in way worse situations. I don't mind doing any of that shit.
Never be above it.
Right.
That's the thing. Like if you, a business owner, right, go to your gym, and maybe one of the people didn't see it, but someone took a dump in your toilet, and it's fucking disgusting.
Right.
But it's plugged up.
Right.
Are you, as the owner, going to walk past it and go, "Hey, Billy, go handle that"? Trust me, I don't like plunging the dirty toilet, but if I see it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and if you don't have, of course, if you're on your way to a meeting or something, if somebody's watching this, like, okay, great. But if you don't, you should grab the thing. And that just happened a few weeks ago. I said, look, the toilet seat was down, and somehow that got dirty. So the toilet was clean, but not that. And so I went upstairs, and I was laughing to the staff, like, I don't know how that even happens. Like, somebody had some really bad lunch. And so we were laughing, and they were kind of like nervous, like, we're so sorry, we promised we cleaned it. And I was like, oh, no, it's fine. And they're like, we'll go down right now. I was like, oh, no, I cleaned it. And they were like,
they're like, what do you mean you cleaned it?
Okay, cool. Like, those are the kind of things.
You had one of your members actually walk past you and saw you doing that, that will stick in their mind forever. Like, dude, I just saw Larry cleaning the toilet. Like, fuck.
But that comes down to just, you have to be that person, because there's a lot of people now, again, because of social media, they want to take a picture, like, watch me plunge the toilet. And it's like, look how cool I am. I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
Really it's what you do when nobody's looking and there's no expectations and there's nobody to impress that really matters. And that comes down to just being you. And so you have to be able to stay humble and be able to remember, this is who I am and these are the things that are important, which it makes it so much easier coming from being poor, going to jail, doing those things. Those were just, it's like, this is who I am. I'm just a normal person, where a lot of the people just, I'm above that and I can't do that. And I think it does, it fucks up culture, and it fucks up your potential to grow, because nobody likes that.
You didn't have a lot of money, right? So you had to struggle a lot more in life that gave you some really valuable lessons.
Yeah.
I come from another spectrum where it's like, I had a father as an attorney, upper middle class, didn't hand us shit. But I didn't have to worry about, not having clothes or not being able to eat. None of that happened in my life, but I still took that path to where somebody that doesn't have anything should have taken that path. And that's where I want that misconception. Like, when most people look and go, ooh, criminals or drug dealers or this or that, you're all, low income, ghetto, gangster. You're either black or Latin. And, let me tell you something, homie. Some of the biggest motherfucking crooks in this country.
Oh, yeah.
Come from white and gray hair, really good, wealthy motherfuckers.
Yeah. I think the stereotypes are all over the place. Yeah, there's a lot of, and it really is. It comes down to a mindset. There's people that are more portrayed in a certain way, but it comes down to a mindset. Like I said earlier, is if it's easy money, if you have this, you don't want to do the work. It all comes down to mindset, which is why I want to do the podcast on the Felon to Fortune. Is most people don't correlate the two, but I think that coming from that situation and being able to be successful is a true indication that it's just mindset. Because anyone that would go, dude, you were in a Brazilian fucking prison, you did all this stuff and you almost broke out and did all this stuff. you couldn't be successful. I mean, that's a huge hurdle to overcome.
Right.
And you're like, okay, but I did, and it's because I made choices to do these certain things.
Exactly. And mindset, like if you just put it in your head that you can do it.
Right.
And that wall may be 4 feet thick.
Yep.
Of concrete, but trust me.
Put that poster over it, grab your homies, and chip away at it. You're going to see
You
sunlight
chip
on the
away.
other side.
Put your head down and smack that wall. Guess
Yeah.
what? You're going to have a headache the first day. But
Yeah, I mean,
your
your
skull's going to get
analogy-
tougher every week, right?
Yeah, and
you're
your
gonna break
analogy
it.
is good. You guys ended up literally chipping through an entire jail wall to be able to escape. I mean, that's the same indication of what it is everybody wants to be able to just walk around the wall.
Right.
They don't want to chip away one rock at a time.
that work.
You know, you just have to be willing to say that it's going to take a long time and it's going to be painful and it's going to be hard and it's not going to happen tomorrow.
Life sucks.
But eventually, right.
Life, if you can sit here and look me in the eyes and go, fuck, life is so easy, bro. I'll get up and leave.
Right.
Because I know you're lying to me,
Right.
right? Nobody wants to accept that life really does fucking suck.
Right.
Life on this planet fucking sucks.
Right.
Why? You got our planet's turning to fire because, green gases. We've got more plastic in the oceans. We've got poisons going through our system. We've got this. We've got people stealing. We've got credit cards. We've got high interest rates. We've got fucking this. We've got a drug war.
I mean, you
We've
could
got
just say taxes and I'd be pissed. I mean,
Right?
that alone, I'm like...
just say taxes
just
to a real
taxes
adult.
alone, and I'm done.
Bro, all you got to do, you got to fucking make money. You got to pay the bills. Man, the phone bill, food, life. You got a family. You got kids. You may have a girlfriend. You may be it sucks.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but
The people
you can
that
get
make
through
the
it.
best of it are the ones that have the right mindset, and that's the part
It's
that I
all
try to drill
mindset.
home is if you talk to 99% of people, the reason they're not where they want to be is not because of something that they could fix mentally. It's because of something standing in their way because I don't have enough money.
Right.
Because I don't have an education. I
Right.
don't have a degree.
I
There's
can't.
always these things. And honestly, like one of the biggest things that I want to try to get across with the podcast and having guests like yourself on is there's all these obstacles that are far greater than what a lot of people right now are watching or facing. And you were still able to be successful. So those things that you put down when somebody asks you why you're not opening the cupcake shop that you want to open or why you haven't done this or why you haven't done that really are pretty irrelevant. And the goal is somebody can listen to your story and go, I never had to chip away at a wall in Sao Paulo, Brazil and try to escape prison.
Right.
So that dude did that and still ended up creating something out of that situation that was a dream and has been successful. Why can't I?
Right.
And it sounds super cliche, but the greatest thing that I accomplished through my business was really realizing that is all my excuses were always bullshit.
Yep.
They really didn't mean shit. I wasn't living up to my potential. I wasn't developing. I wasn't strong enough, resilient enough. I wasn't applying myself. I wasn't creative enough. Those are all things anyone can do. You don't have to have a bunch of money. You don't have to go to a great fucking school. Just go do it.
We're humans. We have the ability.
Right.
You are fucking born in your DNA to have that.
Yeah. And we have a lot of resources around us through social media. I say all the time, drop a fucking DM. I get people all the time that go, I'm so amazed that you responded. I'm like, why wouldn't I? But a lot of people just go, I could ask that guy for a piece of advice and he'd never answer. You don't know till you try.
Right.
You got Google, you've got YouTube, you've got all these things at your fingertips that there's no reason why you can't go out and fucking be successful and accomplish what you want. Change your mindset, apply yourself, and the tools are in front of us like we've never had before in our lives.
Well, then think of what is your definition of success?
Right.
Right? That's a big key to the whole thing.
Yep.
You got the guy that makes 40, 50 grand a year, and his success is, man, I got a good job.
Dude.
I love what I do. I'm fucking
When I
happy.
get home, I turn my brain off. I don't worry about work. Work stays at work. I hang out with my family. We play some video games or board games together.
That may be, in that person's idea, wild success.
Yeah.
Other people's idea maybe I need to have that Lamborghini or that Ferrari, but are you doing that because you want to show you're successful?
Right.
Because showing you're successful is different than actually being successful.
Right.
Trust me.
Being personally successful. I personally feel that's successful, or I personally feel you think that'll be successful.
And trust me, I'm not going to be bummed if I get successful enough to walk into the Lamborghini store and be like, I want that one.
Right. And I tell people that all the time. I think there's that misconception where they go, I know this other guy that doesn't say the same things about his Lamborghini as you do, so he's doing it for the wrong reasons. They go, look, if somebody has that much money that it doesn't matter, like, sure, go buy it. I mean, at that point, it doesn't matter. But I ain't that successful. That's still a decent amount of money to me.
You still got to fucking work for it.
It has to mean something to me.
Right.
If you reach a point to where like somebody will say that guy's got a jet and it's so stupid for him to have a jet. Like if he's got enough money and it really doesn't matter and he just chooses to buy it, it's like it doesn't necessarily have to.
That's what he worked for.
Right. It doesn't have to be his dream.
How did he get there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why maybe that happened. But I mean, your definition, literally my definition of success, I want to get, my goal is I want to get a badass fucking Tundra.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It.
Like, I'm not looking at like, I don't need to go buy a Lamborghini, although fuck, they're awesome cars.
Right.
I look at myself as like, yo, dude, if I have the money to get that, I'm probably going to fucking ruin it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So why
I
even go there?
Times,
exactly. So it's like, I look at like, don't think of your success as what you're showing people.
Right.
Because your success isn't measured by your toys.
Right.
That's shit that, and don't get me wrong.
I'll be honest, most guys that I see,
fun.
Yeah, most guys that I see when you talk to them is what they always told me was it'll get old. So I'd see their car and be like, oh my God, like it's artwork to me. It's beautiful. Oh God, it's so amazing. I can picture myself.
6 months later, you're like,
and they go,
dude.
I'm over it. I'm that crazy guy that literally put racks in my garage to stack the cars. So when I do cardio, I can look at them and every morning I stare at them and it never gets old. Every time I get in them, I'm that guy that it's different, and that's why I know that I did something for a bigger reason. Because if I had 15 cars and none of them meant anything, then it's like, okay, if you have just a massive amount of money and you don't really care, I guess whatever, buy what you want.
If you're the trust fund baby, that
But if you're actually working for it, it better keep meaning something. And if it doesn't, you should keep questioning yourself. Why do I keep buying this shit?
Well, but then you become smart, right? And go, oh, guess what? I bought for 60, Eleanor.
Right.
Now she's worth 80.
Right.
And you're now it's an investment.
Yeah.
And you're investing in these things.
Most of mine have been solid. I'm smart about most of those things.
Right.
But I would have bought them if they were, even if they weren't, because it meant something.
Don't get me wrong. Like, dude, people that look at you in the face and go, money doesn't buy happiness.
Right.
Okay, I get that. But fuck, it makes shit so much easier.
Right.
Doesn't have to be a lot, but
Right.
it's how are you going to make it? What is it going to do to improve your life? Nobody that lives without, first of all, you can't succeed in life without money unless you go homestead in Alaska.
Right.
And live with grizzly bears and make a house out of mud and trees.
It costs money.
And, everything costs money. So if your only focus in life is to make money to go buy stupid shit, you're on the wrong path.
Right.
But now if you're making money and it's like, yo, dude, I can finally take my family on a really nice vacation that I've always wanted. Who's out there to tell you like, oh, that's fucking wrong. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't buy a Ferrari just because you've did.
Right. And it's the level of money and what it, like you said, is knowing yourself. I knew myself. I want to be able to retire my mom. I want to be able to do this for my sister.
Buy mom a house. Right. Yeah.
And so those are the things now as I look and go, all right, my best friends from high school own some of my franchise locations. That wouldn't have happened without the money to get to that place.
Right.
I'm able, anytime any of my family has issues, I'm able to help. This
Right.
kind of thing. So is they say money can't buy happiness. And I say, wait until your mom is crying because she can't make her rent and you can't help her.
Right.
That definitely is an unhappy feeling. And I'll tell you, the sense of happiness when you give her that money is happiness. So again, as money doesn't buy happiness is true, just buying shit. But if you know what makes you happy and then you know how much money it takes to make that happen, that's where you
suffered
start
to get there. You know the value of it. Nobody's giving it to you. Guys like us, where we have to go a little bit farther and work a little bit harder because of certain things that we've done, backgrounds or whatever.
Right.
And even though I didn't have the felonies here, I still had a lot of people because I went and did National Geographic. Mm-hmm. So, I had a lot of people say, bro, you're going to kill your career.
Right.
Like, people are going to see that and they're not going to hire you. You just put yourself on national TV. And I sat back and I went, oh man. And that's when, everything came back from sitting in jail, just understanding who I am. And I said, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to pay my bills for me?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to come out of the blue and fight? If you fire me, good. If that's what it is, that's your feeling. Or if now you find out that I've done this, but you've loved me for the last 10 years, does it change who I am?
Right. So it ends up drawing you to the place you're supposed to be with the people you're supposed to be around anyways. And it's going to weed out the places you weren't supposed to be and the people that weren't supposed to be around you.
Exactly. And the people, the negative or the people that I just look at it this way. The people that I'm around, am I 110% positive that If I texted them or called them and said, yo, bro, my car's broken down. I'm in San Diego. Can you come pick me up?
Yep.
And there's not going to be a fucking second on the phone. They go, yeah, where's your address?
Yep.
Those are the people I put myself around.
Which, as you get older, you realize you can usually hold up one hand and maybe give. If you can maybe give a full one hand, you're killing it.
You're lucky.
I can't even give a full one hand.
I've got a couple, and that's it. I've got a ton of friends.
Right.
A lot of people that I would help and do anything for, and I love helping people. And I'll go to the extent of, even if you're not a good friend of mine, if you need something, bro, I'm gonna hook you up.
Right.
I'm gonna do what I can to take care of you. No reciprocation. I don't do shit for getting something back. But when it comes to the people that I know, that if I need it, they're going to come help me.
Yeah. I mean, from this whole situation, so from all the stuff that you took, what would you say would be the most valuable things that you took that were able to be applied to you becoming successful, doing, creating CrossCore, which was an amazing innovation, ended up taking off. Mm-hmm. The World Calisthenics Organization, you guys are doing these huge events. To get you to that spot, out of all this stuff, what are some of the things that you think somebody else could be able to take from some of these situations to apply?
It's so foundational. It's so simple. Don't cloud up your mind with a bunch of shit. Like, oh my God, society says I have to this, I have to that. This is the right way to do things. The wrong way usually is an awesome way, because you learn a really good way to do shit. Yeah. But, biggest
you get a really cool story sometimes too.
Right? You can get some real cool stories out of it. But I think the never be afraid of the hard work. Always believe in what you're doing. Don't do it for other people, and fucking go for it.
Yeah, I love it.
Really, you said it, I think, earlier. If you don't, your biggest failure is not trying. Like, if you don't take that first step, you just fucking killed yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of things I look back on and go, they didn't work out well.
Right.
But I can honestly say I don't have one of them that I regret doing. Is I've lost money and I've trusted people I shouldn't.
Right.
And in the moment, I would say I regret it. Mm-hmm. But always, hindsight's 20/20, and the perspective is always, I took so much from that. I know not to trust somebody who says and does these things.
Right.
I know to do my due diligence in these situations to prevent that from happening again.
Right.
And those experiences are worth so much money. As I didn't go to college, I've spent far more on the School of Hard Knocks, but I feel that I've taken a lot more.
Well, bro, I'll tell you. I mean, I know a lot of dudes that graduated from college, and they're not millionaire positions, right? But they have no fucking clue about life.
Right.
I like the hard knock life. If you're not, like the story I told you earlier when I went over to friends and they were trying to blow up inflatable things to go in the pool.
Right, and they didn't even know how to use an air compressor.
And they couldn't figure out how to just stick, the easy route. Oh, can't you just stick it in and it just stays there and inflates? No, you got to fucking hold it to inflate the goddamn thing. But that's where people are missing. Like, you got to do the work.
Right. And I think that's too is, since we've hit on social media and we've hit on these things, is being in prison, being in jail, going through all these experiences, having to come out and work your way through, it develops a lot of inner social skills, the ability to read people, to be able to understand certain situations. Those are things that social media is robbing a lot of people of, is you can be whoever you want to be through social media behind this veil.
Facade.
Right. But then when the veil is lifted and you're in real person, you're forced to go through an interview and produce at a certain job.
Socialize.
Right. I encourage a lot of people to go out and make those mistakes and go out there and be who you are.
Right.
And you're going to learn those situations. Don't say that to a certain type of person.
Right.
Hey, make this type of situation, approach it in a different way. But when you're too afraid and you stay behind that facade of social media, or you're afraid to jump into those situations, or what if I end up in trouble, there's no way you or I would end up where we are had we not learned how to communicate and learned how to read situations. Those things probably got you into a lot of good positions after you came out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just, the not being afraid thing and actually going out and doing it. I think I was one of those kids too, where you don't want to go and say this because people may think, oh, well, he's a nerd, or you don't want to be the first one to approach it, afraid of failure or whatever. I think, the most important thing is you just, and it sounds so fucking stupid, but you literally just got to go do it. It's not that don't care what other people think about you or fuck everybody else. It's if you don't have that spirit to go fight for what you want and not worry about what others' ideas of you might be, you're successful. to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously the easier thing too, and a positive thing to take from anybody that's watching this that's fallen down or that's had a felony or anything like that is that's a blessing, because when you're in that position, I knew everybody had seen mine. Again, was in newspapers and everything too. So I'm the loser. I'm the fuck up. I'm as low as it can be. So when you get out, you're kind of like, it's almost a beautiful thing of it doesn't matter what people think because they already think nothing of me.
Right.
So it's like they already think I'm a complete idiot.
Right.
So if I fail, who's going to be surprised? Right. You know. So again, it's all perspective, but that is something positive for anybody that's watching that can take it. It's when you came out, you had that sense of everything, but it is also that blessing of like people already know this is what the situation was. So
how you handle it.
Right.
You know, to this day, this is what, 1997 I got out, so 22 years since I've been out of jail, 27 years since I committed the crime. So 30 years ago, right? A lot of people weren't alive when I was getting arrested. And I still, to this day, if you go watch a show on YouTube or whatever and you still comments, I still get people that message me. Every time it airs somewhere around the world, I get thousands of Facebook requests to be, to friend me on Instagram. And I don't use my social media, maybe, maybe I should have, but I didn't want to use it to really push back in the day, that type of thing, right? But I'll still get people that message me, you piece of shit. Stuff that's like,
you're mad about that 30-year-old cocaine. Like they're pissed.
Wow, why do you guys think he's, such a great person? He's a fucking drug dealer, scumbag piece of shit. And people write me this, and it's like, you got to really learn how to swallow, take with a grain of salt, and go, man, that was some horrible shit, this person. And they don't even know me.
Right.
Oh, wow, how can you write that? And then you sit back and you go, man, what a bummer. This person
is that unhappy to have found me.
Find me.
Off of a rerun of a 30-year-old crime.
Write, a paragraph about what a horrible
and a crime that you didn't
being.
Murder anybody or anything. So it's like, but that is.
I get it. Drugs, they're horrible. They kill people. I get where they're coming from. But I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I could take from this was, wow, he's judging me based on what they know or they saw of a show. And I'm still, no matter what I've done to this day, no matter how many people I help, no matter what good I do, I'm always going to have people that see this and call me a drug dealer, a baby killer, a murderer, because literally it goes that deep.
Right.
Because drugs murder people, right? It's not that I took the cocaine and shoved it the fuck up your nose.
Right.
But still, I'm the supplier, so I'm the murderer. And in the beginning was like, pick up the, you don't fucking know me.
That's always our natural first response until...
Right. And then you sit back and I go, oh, Jesus, before I make that response, let me sit back and think, wow, they must be pretty upset.
Yep.
They must have had they potentially could have had a child that overdosed. I never know what your situation is and how much you hate me right now. So I would literally write them back. I really apologize for the way you think about me. I completely understand that yes, agree I was a piece of shit, but please understand where I'm at today, and people change and da-da-da-da. And usually I'm getting a positive response back.
And if you're in a good frame of mind to be able to respond, or some people just not respond at all. But yeah, I just had one the other day that I had done a story on where a guy hit me up with this long thing and said, hey, this other guy that's big in fitness did this whole thing on a guy that has a Lamborghini and success and this and that or whatever. And I didn't ask who it was. I just said, and he said, it upset me because and I said, hey, I appreciate your love and you caring enough for it to upset you.
Right.
And I said, thanks. And then, it made me think about this topic. So I did a story on it and I basically said, look, there's going to be people always that are going to have shit to say, no matter what you do. You could commit a crime or do nothing. You could be a school teacher. There is always people to talk shit. And the higher you climb in the ladder of sports, in success, in your relationship, anything that looks good, the more that it looks good, the more they're going to come out.
Right.
And so back in the day, I would write these I would debate with, if they said that one of my diets was wrong, I would have a fucking thing. I'm not lying. I'd have sources of clinical peer-reviewed studies.
Click here.
Click here for me to show you what an idiot you are.
Right.
It took so much of my time. It got me so worked up.
Right.
And so what I did on the story is I said, look, there was this example, and I said, you have to be able to, again, not allow the opinion of others to affect you in that way. Now, if you have the understanding and the self-awareness to be able to send a nice response, then great. But if not, just say nothing
don't
at all.
do it. Yeah.
Right. And you just move on with your life. So I told those people, I said, I had posted his response and people started right away messaging me, who is it? Who is it? We'll go to their page.
Right.
And I said, I never asked who it is.
Right.
I don't want anybody else to ask who it is. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And I said, it does no good. And I think that's an important thing for people to take is we're all so afraid to do something because we're afraid of what somebody will say.
Right.
And whether we think about it or not, if you do take a minute to ask yourself that is holding you back. My mom's going to say I'm dumb. My dad's going to doubt it. This person, society, this and that.
Right.
When you can escape that and just say, I know who I am. I know what makes me happy. I'm going to take this chance. And sure, I might fuck up or I might fail, but it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to have something to say whether you win or lose, and you just stop making choices based on the opinions of others. You have a lot of freedom in your life.
And sometimes the most powerful response is
none.
no response.
It's
that's
Bro, they want to piss you off.
People.
And when they know, and you still don't care.
Right. And
so
it's like you didn't reply back, and they keep going at it and going at it. And hey, if that's going to be your life,
right.
That's the way it is.
I think that's something that hopefully people can take from it. I talk to a lot of people, and I want to start this business. I want to get this promotion. I'm afraid people are going to laugh at me. They're going to say this. People are going to make mean comments or whatever. Just know they're always going to.
It's never going to stop.
Right. Whether you go for it or not, they're always going to. You have to learn how to personally not allow that to affect you the way it does. And 99% of people, myself, just several years ago included, did let it affect them on a huge level. Somebody writes one mean comment on a social media post, and we are pissed all day, and we're thinking about it, and it affects us. And why? Why don't they like me? Why'd they say that?
Right.
I train my legs all the damn time. I consider myself to have big legs. I don't care what. Every picture I put up, everybody says, why do you skip leg day?
Right.
And so I remember I'd be like in the gym, like apparently I have to squat 6,000 pounds.
Every video to show I do legs.
Right. Somebody's always going to go on my page and say I got small legs. So it's like I'm just going to have to just walk around with small legs, I guess.
Right.
So
or you can continually fight it.
Right.
And waste your energy on bullshit.
Right. You just know that people are going to say it whether it's true or not. And there was a meme that was funny, and it says something like, your haters could see you walking on water, and they would make fun of you because they say you can't swim or something like that. So it's like, it doesn't matter what you do on what level. I could have legs this big and someone's going to go on there and say my legs are small. Like, I mean, they can still say whatever they want, or they'll find something else to say.
Right.
So yeah, hopefully people are able to take something from that. Before we wrap it up, I wanted to see, when do you guys have your next event for the World Calisthenics Organization?
All right, so WCO, the World Calisthenics Organization, we have Battle of the Bars. Right now in the U.S., it's at all the Fit Expos. So currently it's, the Fit next one is June 1st, 2nd at the Fit Expo Anaheim.
Yep.
Then we go July 27th, San Jose, the Fit Expo San Jose Convention Center. Then October, San Diego Convention Center.
Okay.
And then all of those, and kind of what we've done is, it's all sponsored. We generate revenue off teaching education, workshops, and, apparel when we do sell this and that. All of our events are supported by sponsorship money. So all the money we get for sponsors goes 100% into paying for the event.
Okay.
We're literally all of our events in California that we've starting this year, all tournament winners. We have an event that happens in Dubai every year.
Sweet.
So it's a
big deal.
Oh, fuck. It's a trip that you got to be able to go. Like if you win a competition, I give you $2,000 cash and a full expense paid to compete in Brazil. I think I can do like 12
pull-ups. I don't know if I'll win, but I'm if I can get my way paid, maybe I'll just buy my own ticket.
So we do those. Like you got to come to the expo.
Right.
I'll get you tickets and but it's those 3 dates. Then we do Dubai. We have qualifiers in Mexico, and then we take on people within the street workout world or calisthenics world that want to do an event. We then co-produce an event with them. Hey, we want to do Battle of the Bars, Poland, for example. All right, cool. Here's what you got to do. Here's, all the different regulations and guidelines. We literally wrote rules. We wrote regulations. We incited different, have to wear a mouth guard to protect yourself. So that's really the culmination of the sport to turn it into something that is actually valid for people to earn a living off of. Ultimately, I want like UFC contracts type of thing. Like all my athletes are signed under contract.
I mean, I'll say that it's crazy that it has the biggest crowd at the expo.
Right?
It does. It's the most people and anywhere. Anytime you're walking around the expo, the biggest crowd is always around the bars. I mean, they are the most entertaining, and they're crazy athletes. It's like a cross between a calisthenics athlete, a fitness athlete and a gymnast. Like they just have
Right.
such a crazy mix of skills
It's like
that it's very
B-boy,
yeah.
gymnastics / street,
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
crazy entertaining.
urban.
You guys got to go on YouTube. We were just talking about one of our trainers for hardcore fitness,
Right.
Swaggy, did which was the last competition he was at?
Last one we did was the LA one.
The LA one.
Swaggy, yeah.
So this dude, I had just had him at the gym and he was doing a bunch of crazy stuff and we were messing around and we were looking at videos. There's a video that went all over the place of him doing a crazy
high bar
move,
backflip.
Yeah, and he ends up landing on the bar and lands so hard, completely bends this. I mean, those bars are meant to withstand, like, you could hang a freaking elephant from it, and he hit it so hard.
I'll tell you right now the specs for that shit. So it's a 1 1/4 inch seamless steel tubing, 1/4 inch wall thickness, 148,000 PSI dead to bend it, right? So this is a dude that weighs 100, I think Swaggy's like 155 pounds wet.
Yeah.
Muscled up. If you guys don't know what a muscle up is, it's a pull up where you get your whole body above the bar. Muscle up, jumps on his feet. So he's standing on a bar that's 7.5 feet of, pull up bar height, standing on his feet, jumps to a backflip where that backflip is supposed to turn into a regrab where he grabs with his hands, swings into some other moves. Well, Swaggy misjudged it by about a foot and landed literally on his gut and bent that steel bar 10 inches.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Fucking
this
crazy.
Thing was like bent.
Yeah. Even all the athletes that know
Everyone
what it's
like
was like, it was silence. People were like, oh shit.
Yeah.
People that didn't know what this was like, whoa, shit.
Yeah.
And it was ruthless.
Is that video on YouTube or where would they find
Yeah, I
that?
think we have that. What is that one? 35, right, Jarvis? I think Battle the Bar 35. You go to WCOTV.com. It's, I think, the first video on the video slider. It's the one that says it starts with the Spec Ops, brought to you by Spec Ops. Watch that in the first 30 seconds. You get that.
You guys got to watch it. It's freaking crazy. You're going to be surprised how he's even alive.
Yeah, and then after that he goes up to try to planche, and then he goes down, and you can see in his face like, oh shit,
that didn't feel good.
Yeah, it didn't. And how crazy is that? Like, after you guys can see before, you can't see what happened when we got here, but the small of a world it is Swaggy, one of our athletes, just so happens to be one of the guys that works and trains at one of your gyms in San Diego. So how small the world is,
It means always be nice to people. You don't ever know who knows who.
Right.
Yeah, you guys got to check out some of the videos. They've got crazy stuff. If you guys are by any of the expos, you guys got to go out there. I'll be out there. They'll be out there.
Yeah, and if you want, check out, I'll give you world_calisthenics_org. A lot of fucking underscores. But check us out on Instagram. And that's really the best way to find out where we're at and what we're doing.
Okay, cool. And just obviously thanks for having you on. And, it's awesome for everybody to be able to hear your story and be able to, I think a lot of stuff they can take from this to be able to put things into perspective, realize that sometimes their low points can be some of the greatest learning experiences and greatest ways for them to change their perspective.
For sure.
So, appreciate you being on and hope that a lot of these people, and I know they're going to take a lot from it and hopefully that we see a lot of you guys out at some of these events.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you guys for the next episode.
What's up? Go hard.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.